Adventure is Nigh has a really big disc.
Big disc energy.
Well, an average-sized disc. I'm, of course, talking about the Adventure is Nigh Blu-ray discs. Season 1 and Season 2 of Adventure is Nigh are now available to own. That means you can watch the river crossing shenanigans of your favorite adventurers, even if there's no more internet. These blue discs include every episode of Season 1 and 2 beautifully remastered, Q&As, behind-the-scenes content, and a commentary track on every single episode. Honestly, we probably shouldn't have done that. We get sidetracked easily.
I don't know if you've seen The Substance.
I was going to say, I was waiting for a break so I could be like, let's talk about how they use nudity in The Substance.
Head on over to our DFTBA store to order your copy or go to adventureisnigh.horse. It's a real website.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rewind, episode number 42 for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. Marty Sleva here, joined by Darren Mooney, Jack Packard, and producer Eric. We got a humdinger set for you guys today. We're going to give some lingering Oscar thoughts from last week's Academy Award ceremony. We'll talk about a pair of 90s, early aughts TV shows making waves in the news. Firefly is coming back in some form, and apparently Buffy is not coming back in some form. And then we'll talk about everything we've been watching, including our big topic this week. We all went to see Project Hail Mary in theaters, which was the big movie of the weekend. So we'll be talking about that a little bit non-spoiler, and then we'll jump in full spoilers. How are you guys doing?
Feeling fine. You know what? I think the base feeling for today is perfectly fine.
Adequate.
Adequate.
Workmanlike.
Cromulent, some might say.
Oh no, I don't want that. I was hoping this would be like a sequel to like right around this time last year. We had a Sinners episode. We were like, a big movie came out. It's original IP, and I guess this is an original IP, but we were all very excited about it. And it made a lot of money. And this is back. It made a lot of money. And maybe we're slightly less excited about it, but yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. A couple housekeeping things. The rare week. 2 episodes of The Backdrop have gone up since the last episode. First one on Scream 7 and the trend of self-hating sequels, which you edited yourself, Darren. I thought that was a great episode last week. Again, kind of piggybacking off conversations we've had here on the pod. And then today, a great episode, which will dovetail nicely into one of our topics of your reaction to the Firefly revival being announced, adapting your own column from the other week, and why maybe we don't need this. Maybe it's okay for things to end, even if they ended unceremoniously the first time around.
Yeah, look, maybe they can live on in culture in other ways, which is nice, and they can inspire things and inspire people and have people create their own art that builds upon that, as opposed to just coming back in this weird, uncanny, zombified animated form that is after the TV show but before the movie, because Disney don't own the rights to the movie, but also the movie maybe involves the ends of certain character arcs, but one of those characters is played by an actor who's already dead, so that's a whole question mark we have to get into. And I feel like when you reach that level of having to explain what the project is, you're just like, maybe we try something new.
Yeah. So that's those jump in nicely. That first story, pretty much you summed it up, that there's a Firefly animated series in development that is going to take place in between Firefly and the movie Serenity. And most of the principal leads are coming back: Nathan Fillion, Alan Tudyk, Gina Torres, Jewel State, Monica Barakin, Sean Mayer, Summer Glau, and Adam Baldwin all returning. All the main characters except Ron Glass, who passed away. So I'm assuming he was Shepherd Book. That was his character's name, right?
And to be fair, Book was written out of like the Serenity includes like a way of writing the character out if you want to do that, which would probably be my preferred option, as opposed to the two alternatives, which are A, recast the role, which is a strange thing to do if you're bringing back the cast, or B, and we're all thinking it, use some sort of monstrous AI to bring back the dead.
Oh God! Use Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
It would be great if it was just Darren, like Lordy, Jacob and Lordy in the role of show.
You're like, well, this doesn't really fit in here, but sure. This is being showrunnered by Mark Guggenheim and Tara Butlers, who Mark Guggenheim did Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow, and Tara did Agent Carter and Reaper. So a kind of history of CW tier TV. I don't mean that pejoratively. I think these shows, many of them were literally on CW. So
yeah, like Buffy and Angel and Whedon was the king of like one of the reasons why Whedon was the king, and I'm sure we'll get into the Whedonness of it all and the sticky Whedonness of it all, was that he appealed to teenagers, whether teenage boys or teenage girls. Like his shows worked because they were like prime. You're not a child anymore. You're entering the world of adult television. Buffy, Angel, and Firefly are great runways onto, like, chronologically even something like The Sopranos or The Wire or Deadwood. You know.
Yeah.
So absolutely no problem with it being a young adult thing. I think that's the smart thing to do. I think the sad thing to do would be to make it like a prestige-y thing. To be like, no. We brought in David Simon's Firefly.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, well, this news also pairs with the news that the long-announced Buffy sequel series revival had a pilot shot last year, and Hulu declined to pick it up as a series. And so this was, and it was shot by, speaking of prestige, by Chloe Zhao, Academy Award winner and recent nominee, Chloe Zhao of Nomadland and Hamnet, also The Eternals. Always got to say The Eternals because that was a good one. But
can we disagree at any point? Like, can we objection? Objection.
Wait, I mean, we are gonna. I think we're gonna heavily agree on Project Hail Mary. So maybe we should go our disagreements out now.
The system, yeah.
But the reports about that have been a little bit muddied. Some sources were saying that there was an executive producer who was kind of an asshole, didn't really care about the project.
You could say Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar said that. And then other people said that the way Chloe Zhao shot the pilot, there was no coverage, which meant there was no way to kind of go in and meddle and add things in reshoots if you wanted to add characters or sort of change the tone of a thing. And then you want to pay the money for this. Jack, I mean, you seem like of the prime age to where did these shows kind of hit you in the sweet spot throughout the 90s and early aughts?
Okay, so I have still never seen an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Neither have I.
And I'm actually
missed out on it.
I'm okay with that. I loved the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. I thought the movie was phenomenal, and it's like, I'm okay with that. I just feel like, now I'm too old and jaded. Though I understand the tone, and like a lot of CW shows that I do enjoy, like that entire Arrowverse CW era, where they were like trying to be a little bit serious but still have a little bit of fun. I think I forget whether it was you or Darren that said like they borrowed a lot from Joss Whedon, and like the tone that he did a really good job of setting, not just in his TV shows but in his movies, where we are taking the situation seriously, but we'll give a little elbow to the camera, like we're all here having fun, everybody. I don't necessarily care about Buffy. I loved Firefly so very much, and I'm happy that Buffy is not being remade, and I don't want Firefly to be remade. Stop it. It's all of these old actors who are looking for a retirement paycheck. Fuck off and do something else.
It's fine. Like, and honestly, like that is what like cons are for. Like the whole, like the beauty of cons is that if you do a science fiction show in your 20s, you are set for the rest of your life. Like,
I thought you were talking about cons like capers. Like,
heists, the great.
Yeah, that's what heists are for. Conferences. Yeah, like Comic-Cons. Yeah.
That's Bradley Cooper's upcoming like Ocean's 11 prequel, not to be confused with Ocean's 8, the other Ocean's movie, where it's going to be him like and the cast of Buffy doing an elaborate con at a con.
I kind of like a heist movie at like the San Diego Comic-Con. That could be fun.
Yeah,
it could be a lot of fun.
Right, and so it's like, to me, so many of the Firefly actors are still working and doing fine by themselves. Alan Tudyk is the man of every hour in every big sci-fi movie. He's a phenomenal voice actor, getting regular work. Nathan Fillion has his regular show that I think is on like shockingly season 16 now or something.
A premise-defying 8th season of The Rookie. Like at a certain point, you can't. And I know the trick is that he's now training the rookies, but
Sure.
you can't call it the rookie after 8 years. You need to either like fire or promote that guy. Like that. Those are the two
Exactly.
options.
That's like sometimes you get like a 26-year-old college football player. You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So that was the Glenn Powell Hulu TV show that nobody
Yes.
remembers.
With a very dark ending. I really like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which
it's like,
will never be followed up on.
like if you want to remake Buffy, you don't remake Buffy, you do something in the style of Buffy. Like you make another young adult supernatural thing, which by the way, I'm sure I'm out of it because I'm no longer a teenager and I'm no longer of the age where I can look back on it even nostalgically, but I'm sure that stuff is out there. Hop on one of those shows, make another one of those from the
rivalry.
Heated rivalry, sure.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not
like
supernatural.
It's super hot. I don't know. I'm down with the kids.
People caring about hockey has a magical realism to it.
They're on ice. They may as well be nymph. I don't know,
What I'm saying is, like, if you are the cast of Buffy, like this is real, or like the producers, the writers of from the cast, producers, writer of Buffy the Vampire Slayer comes a new journey in the supernatural. People will get on board or whatever. We don't need to let the dead die. is my forever motto here.
And we've also gotten incredible art by people clearly inspired by this era of TV. Like all three of us gushed about I Saw the TV Glow, which was clearly a movie inspired by their love of this. And their next movie is also the same thing of like slasher movies, which sounds incredible.
It's like teenage sex and death at Camp Michigan. Isn't that the starring?
Camp Miasma.
Like, Camp Miasma, like starring like Gillian Anderson. And you're like, that's the Buffy nostalgia that you need. That is what it's casting Gillian Anderson as like the Pamela Voorhees in your weird 1980s slasher movie pastiche. Yeah. That's how you continue Buffy in spirit,
So I will say we are harder on this than we are on Ryan Coogler's X-Files.
We are.
Why is that? Myself included. I'm harder on this than Ryan Coogler's X-Files.
I think it's very telling that neither of you have watched an episode of Buffy and therefore have no emotional attachment to Buffy. It's probably a deciding factor there. Whereas like Marty and myself are like X-Files guys to the core. I honestly, like, that is the thing with the Buffy thing. I'm glad it's dead, which is a terrible thing to say that makes me sound like an awful human being. I'm glad it's dead. But I am glad that it's not continuing. I'm glad that we're not mining that IP. But also part of me is like, it kind of sucks that we killed the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot from a filmmaker with a distinct, unique perspective, where it seems like one of the problems was that she had too much of a distinct, unique perspective for the studio.
Sure.
And we are instead replacing it with the Uncanny Valley animated, we're bringing back the entire cast reboot that is set dancing between the raindrops of continuity within the history of Firefly. It does feel like not so much one of these things died, but we swapped, and we ended up with somehow the poorer swap of the two, to my mind. That is not a qualitative judgment on like Buffy or Firefly as shows. I actually much prefer Firefly as a show, but it's like, of the reboots that were presented to me, I would pick neither. If you put a gun to my head and made me choose, I'd be like, okay, I'll take the one from the Oscar-winning, twice Oscar-nominated director, where the studio was like, this is a little bit too weird for us. I'm like, that sounds like it could be fun. I do want to shout out, by like this is something I've actually encountered a few times since the news came out, because this is obviously a people of my generation, it is big news that, in the space of a week, we have Buffy being cancelled and Firefly coming back, and what that means for a generation of people who grew up in it. I know several people who are in the same boat as Jack, who are like, actually, I was the right age to watch Buffy, but I never watched it or never got around to it. And the question of like, should I go back and watch Buffy? And it's like, it is a really weird thing to say now because of what we know about Whedon as like a producer, where I watched Buffy. I loved Buffy. I think Buffy is spectacular in terms of like a weekly television production. Of course, like 8 episodes of a season are unwatchable, to be clear, but that is why it is great, Darren says, because that's the model of production that you were following. But like, Buffy is honestly like a really great TV show, deserves a great deal more respect than it gets. There's the really great argument from Emily Nussbaum, who argues that like Buffy was like often overlooked in terms of the discussion, the evolution of the golden age of television. We tend to focus on stuff like, say, The Sopranos, or like Deadwood, or The Wire, or whatever, and we tend to overlook more female-centric shows in that like headed by women with a target audience of women, like Sex and the City, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I think there is some truth in that argument. I think like if you can go and find any of Emily Nussbaum's writing about Buffy in the New Yorker, it's well worth seeking. I think Cahiers de Buffy is like one of the articles she wrote, which is very, very good. I think Buffy's great. Like I really do love Buffy. I do have a hard time recommending it because it's like, well, if you want to go back and watch Buffy, there's a whole bunch of stuff you need to unpack about the relationship between Buffy and the person who made it, because it is so clearly tied to this one person, Joss Whedon, who has done this terrible stuff that is quite openly talked about, quite openly discussed, and it's not really like ambiguous, it's not really alleged. There's the Vulture interview he did where he's like, sure, I did a bunch of terrible things, but I'm a TV producer who made great TV. Wait, where are you going? What? How have I lost the crowd? What's going on here? And there is also the sense that like he is still alive and he's going to profit from any of these reboots. He would profit from the Buffy reboot. He would profit from Firefly, and that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Like you have Fillion like walking the very thin line of saying, look, to be clear, Whedon is not going to be involved in Firefly. Like, okay. And they're like, but he has given us our blessing. And it's like, sounds like he's a little involved. Yeah. And also the simple fact of you're going to have to pay royalties to revive those characters and use those concepts. And you are going to end up enriching him. He's going to make money for sitting there doing nothing, which is like, not that he should be doing things, but I don't think he should be earning money for doing nothing either. In my ideal scenario, he will be doing nothing and earning no money for doing nothing. And he would have to live with the millions upon millions that he already has. I think that's a fair enough punishment.
I think we talked about this last time, which is that like the dual-edged sword here with the Wheaton of it all is that like for better or for better, he was integral to the tone and cleverness and to the good of all of those shows. And the worst of it is he was integral to the tone and the good of all of those shows. So what will they be without him? They will be worse shows, and we cannot invite him back in. So guess what? Just let them die, please.
I mean, I imagine he's going to get a fat paycheck in December for Doomsday as well, right? Like he set the cadence of Avengers and Age of Ultron, and I imagine
he
still
may
has
not with those characters, because those characters are like owned by the Marvel Corporation. Unless they bring back Coulson, I think he might have a claim to. But like, and of course,
that man may have died several times. I'm not.
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Coulson will return, but I think like the Avengers thing may be different because of the weird way that like Marvel and comics work. Where like because Ed Brubaker didn't technically create Bucky Barnes, he just created the Winter Soldier. He gets no money for any of.
They also spent all the money getting Robert Downey Jr. back. They don't have any more money.
Robert Downey Jr. is like, that's sous chef. That's what Joss Whedon would have got paid.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, Darren, you go over it. You go over it great in your video, but also I have a hard time. I haven't rewatched Firefly in 10, 15 years, and I kind of just don't. I kind of just am letting it sit there in my memory as a thing I really appreciated and meant a lot to me at a certain point. But also, I have a limitless supply of things to watch, so that I could just choose to very easily gloss over this and just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that where it's like the X-Men movies from like Bryan Singer, who is like, Singer is, when he bothered to show up to set, a good director, a terrible human being who should absolutely be in prison based on what we know about his life. But like he made like good movies. The Usual Suspects is a great movie. I think X-Men 2 is one of the best comic book movies ever made. I have no urge to go back and revisit X-Men 2 since I heard what happened with Singer and I heard about Singer. Because to Jack's point, so much of what that movie is about is tied up in what Singer did, and that Singer has this preoccupation in his work about older men and younger men and the seduction or corruption of younger men by older men, where it's Magneto and Pyro, for example, in X2. Arguably, you could see it in stuff like Iceman and Wolverine as well. Act Pupil does a similar thing where he uses Ian McKellen in the same sort of way. Like, there is something that is very uncomfortable to unpack and unwatch when you're like, oh, this is where that guy's personality comes through. Like, it's the same thing with like Buffy, where like you watch Buffy and you're like, oh, cool, it's feminist and it's empowering. It's these women who are strong and who are fighting and who are doing all these things. They refuse to be damsels in distresses. But then you watch, like, you go, okay, it's really interesting that they're all just women who are doing this and all teenage girls who are doing this, but it's the show. I guess it's the show. Then you watch like Firefly and you're like, huh, kind of strange that he gave us another teenage girl who's absolutely badass and is like kind of a doll who's used by older men. That's a little strange, isn't it? And then you watch Dollhouse, you're like, okay. I think there's something happening here that I'm not comfortable with. And then you're like, oh, by the way, he was not allowed in the room with the younger, is it Michelle Trachtenberg? He was not allowed alone in a room with Michelle Trachtenberg during the production of Buffy. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, like I know, like we went through this with J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, and we've been through this with anything that vaguely touched Kevin Spacey or Woody Allen or Roman Polanski or Harvey Weinstein, or I could literally spend the rest of the podcast listing names, which is very,
it varies
very
for everybody.
sad.
To be clear, like there are some people who are like, I can watch this stuff and not feel that, and that's perfectly fine. It's entirely personal and subjective, you know.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Also, to be fair, we went through it with J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, and we had to go through it for the next 10 years as with this HBO show
Son
as
of a
well.
bitch, you're right. God damn it.
Don't worry, it's $100 million an episode, I think. Which,
But the important thing is that John
Money
Lithgow almost quit the show when he found out. Almost quit.
That was my favorite pull quote. Is like John Lithgow desperate for any amount of points here. It's like no.
Hey, then I took a look at the first paycheck. Yeah.
Guys, I want to let you both know that before the podcast today, I was really thinking about donating some money to the Hunger Task Force here in Wisconsin. I did not.
No, but I appreciate it.
But I was really thinking about donating money to the Hunger Task Force.
Oh,
Oh yeah, and
incredible.
And you know, to zoom out even further, there are several things that I still watch and appreciate the artistry of.
Oh, sure.
With always that asterisk of, you know, like you just mentioned, The Usual Suspects, a brilliant movie made by a monster, and that's okay as long as we have that asterisk in there. Like remember when Disney did that thing with Dumbo, where they're like, hey, we want to let you know there's some there's some racist shit in here, but we want to preserve the movie as it was. I think that's what we got to start doing with these directors.
Context. Yeah, just a little bit of context. Agreed. Cool. Before we move on to Oscar chat, we have a bunch of super chats that came in. Let's jump into a couple of those. Novana. Oh, and as you can see, we have a new dono goal. Jack, do you want to explain this one? Because we did meet Dokapon. We're going to be doing our Dokapon stream in about 1 month from now. The loose date is Saturday, the 25th of April.
So now that we've reached that funding goal and the Dokapon crew will doke or die, they will play Dokapon until they finish it or they run out of time in the day, which is
time
terrifying.
In the life.
Time
we just might die, yeah.
But so the next goal, both Marty and I are incredibly large The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild fans. Both of us have hold on, Marty is getting
I have so many amiibo. I don't even know which one to pick. This isn't a Breath of the Wild Zelda. This is just a regular Zelda. Regular Link. I don't even know the difference between Link and Zelda. Fuck off.
In the latest Battle Masters, Marty said that he has logged in maybe 500 hours into Breath of the Wild. I have beaten Breath of the Wild 3, maybe 4 times. So we're both big Breath of the Wild heads, and so we are going. About it. We're Breath of the Wild about it. We are going to do a special dual stream bingo. There's a special website that we can go to where it randomly generates a bingo card that gives us items to accomplish in Breath of the Wild, and whoever can make a bingo first wins. Neither of us will know what we need to do. We just got to bingo it up while we dual stream, theoretically talking to each other. We're going to figure out the logistics of how we're going to do this later, but I'm very excited, mostly because I talked a lot of shit about them
because I don't know how to get on a horse, and you thought you're so much better than me because you know how to mount a horse.
In real life or in the game?
Both. I certainly don't know how to get on a horse in real life. Of like 100%. I
mean,
honestly
in the
think
game,
I could.
is it not just like walk up to horse and press X?
I think first off,
It
you have to
literally
walk
is.
very slowly up because the horse will get startled, and then when you get onto its back, you have to hit a button. But I don't know if you have to hold the button or tap the button. And if it's one of the shoulder buttons, I still haven't learned what ZR and ZL are. If that's the front one or the back one, so it's very tough.
If only you were in some sort of simulation type environment where you could have multiple attempts to figure out the right combination of actions to take, which would result in your desired outcome.
No, and there
is
are
some kind of an Ender's game. Get out of here.
there are different levels of horses. Like if certain horses you don't need any stamina to tame, you can just start riding them immediately. Some horses, the better the horse, the more stamina. These are things Marty did not know after 500 hours of playing the game.
Darren, video games aren't like your little comic books. They push back. They're not like your little funny pages. They're not like your issues of Carol back
again,
there.
Marty. Do we?
We're not talking about GoldenEye. This isn't an episode about GoldenEye.
So in any case, this will be a probably longer than usual stream. Marty and I doing a Breath of the Wild bingo. We're very very excited about it.
And we were going to put
Marty
BOTW
getting on a horse.
As long as that's not like the middle square. If the middle square is anything to do with a horse, I'm fucked.
Yes.
Absolutely fucked.
It will be randomized. We will not know. Yeah.
Novanus, thank you so much. €20 dono. Greetings from Austria. What do you guys think? Project Hail Mary does big numbers in the box office. Could it help bring back original big budget sci-fi outside of franchises, or is Hollywood too locked into IP driven films now? Well, we've had a couple over the past few. We've had your Sinners, we had your Oppenheimer, we had. I guess this. Do we count this as IP? It's based on a book, but
not only is it based off of a book, it's based off of a best-selling author who has also had like a major hit movie adaptation.
Sure.
So it's like that's a little
almost
gray
like
area.
John Grisham kind of,
or like a Michael Crichton, like from the mind of Michael Crichton. Yeah.
There was a really good article, I think, from like the Observer yesterday, where they made the argument that basically this is still nostalgia, and I'm sure this is a great way into talking about like Project Hail Mary, ostensibly what we're going to talk about half an hour into the episode. But like it is nostalgic, and it's not just the IP stuff, because obviously like the thing about Oppenheimer is also based in a book, The American Prometheus, the tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer. But like this is based in a book, fine, whatever. For me, watching it, the nostalgia of it is not for the book. The nostalgia of it is for all the sad astronaut movies we're going to list. It's going to be, there's a lot of 2001 in here. There's a lot of Interstellar in here. There's a lot of Sunshine in here. There's a lot of The Martian here, which is 11 years old and therefore ripe for nostalgic repicking. There's a lot of even like First Man in here, for example. Like there's a lot of stuff that you will recognize from other movies in here. And the argument that the Observer piece made is that, and it's a very valid argument, and I think, to be fair, to give credit where it's due, it is a return to a state of nostalgia that used to exist, which is very similar to what we were talking about with Buffy, which is rip off, don't remake, to quote the great Scott Mendelson. The idea of like taking inspiration from something that you like and that audiences like, and then giving them something that is like that but slightly different. And the example that's cited in the Observer is that like Interstellar is one of the most beloved movies of the past like 15 years. But like seriously, if you look at like the statistics in terms of like Paris Analytics, if you look at in terms of like re-releases and the money that it makes, like Christopher Nolan's Interstellar is a universally beloved movie in terms of like pop culture. It has made a massive impression. People recognize it, people care about it, people love it, right? Yeah. Christopher Nolan is not making extra stellar. He's not making Interstellar 2 back to Murph's planet or whatever.
He goes to the whiteboard and writes outer stellar, but the S is a dollar sign.
Outception, you say? Yes, but like 11th. But like the thing about this is like Project Hail Mary is very overtly doing like Interstellar, but in a slightly different tone, slightly different register, slightly different pitch, slightly different look. But if you listen to...
And I don't want to derail you, but I just got 11th.
11th was really good. 11th was really good.
I just want to make sure that everybody watching or listening heard Darren's amazing sequel to Tenant, 11th.
but
I'm so sorry.
if you listen to like, and again, the Daniel Pemberton score, Pemberton is like a really great composer. I really love Pemberton's work. I think he did like the Steve Jobs score, which is quietly one of the best scores of the past like 15 years. He also did like the Spider-Verse movies and stuff like that. He's done a lot of work with Lord and Miller, really great stuff. But you listen to the soundtrack of Project Hail Mary, and it's like, we have Hans Zimmer at home. It's like, you guys remember Hans Zimmer's score for Interstellar, right? Like, there is something very interesting in that idea of looking at franchise fatigue and looking at like comic book movie fatigue. And I know, Jack, you say comic book movie fatigue doesn't exist, and I generally agree with you. I'm generally on the James Gunn page of like, it's not comic book movie fatigue, it's mediocre movie fatigue. It's the idea of like, audiences will get tired of you doing the same thing over and over again. Or to reference Lord and Miller, you know, it's 15th movie that has the exact same structure and ending that I've seen in the past year fatigue, right? Yeah. Where it is, if you look at how audiences are reacting and the polling of audiences and what franchises they're excited about, they're not really that excited about stuff like, say, Marvel, because they've had 25 Marvel movies in the past 17 years. Like, that well is particularly dry. They have as much as they want of that. They have, like, 40, 50 hours of TV show over the past 2-3 years to tide them over. There's no shortage of that, and there's no demand for that. But instead, like, you look at something like, say, Interstellar, and they point to like The Devil Wears Prada 2 coming out later this year. But an example of stuff where it's like, there is pent-up demand that has not been tapped. And I do think like that is an interesting angle to look at like Project Hail Mary through, where like, I don't see it as being as original a work as, say, Oppenheimer, or as, say, even Sinners. I know people say Sinners is just From Dusk Till Dawn, but like the setting of Sinners, the context of Sinners, the politics of Sinners, like what Sinners has to say about art and stuff is very original and very like particular to Ryan Coogler. Whereas this to me is much more in that zone of what like The Observer was describing. And to your point, like the From the Mind of John Grisham movies we got incessantly during the 90s of like, oh, people like this kind of movie. We should just make another of this kind of movie with an actor who people like, director who people like, from a book written by a guy who people like, and maybe people will like it. And shock horror, they do.
I mean, genuinely, we'll get to this when we get on Project Hail Mary fully. You could swede together a sad dude in space movie by taking scenes from all of the sad dude in space movies, stitching them together, and you'd kind of have a cohesive narrative. Like if you stitch together a little bit of Interstellar, a little bit of Ad Astra, a little bit of 2001, a little bit of High Life. Yeah.
There is a half hour towards the end of like Project Hail Mary where it just goes from ripping off not ripping off, that's unfair, from riffing on the climax of Interstellar straight to like Baby's first ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I'm like, I kind of admire like the sheer you're going for it-ness of this. I don't object to it. I don't dislike it. I'm not raising my fist in the air angrily. I'm just like, I admire how nakedly you are doing what you're doing. I kind of respect it.
Yep. Agreed. We'll get into that shortly. Baba Bukovic. Thanks for joining the value tier, Baba Bukovic. Appreciate you. That was a fun one. Boo-Ray with a $5 dono. Thank you, Boo-Ray. R.I.P. Sam Keith. The Max is my favorite comic book series, and the show is in my top 3 favorite adult animations. I saw this news. I don't know anything about The Max with 2 X's. Darren, are you familiar? Either of you guys? The Max. I believe that was a 90s comic.
You would know the image, the image of the Max more than
the little monster guy. Yeah, I knew that.
Not
man.
Little, big monster.
No, little. He's little because I'm far away from the rack because I'm not.
Yeah, the book is small. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you read any of that, Darren?
I have not, in fact, read The Max. My experience of Sam Keith, and this is, again, we're talking about like problematic artists, is his work kind of defining Sandman with Neil Gaiman, where he did a lot of work on the early 20 issues of Sandman. And like Sam Keith is just one of those great, like he's a horror artist. You know, obviously The Max is like for him riffing on superheroes, but this kind of grotesque, larger than life, uncanny, creepy, like pencily sketchy drawing, which I absolutely love. He reminds me a lot of Kelly Jones, who is like one of my guys in terms of 90s comics. I was maybe a bit young for Sam Keith. I think I maybe miss Sam Keith just in terms of the right age channel, but he's a huge influence on Kelly Jones, who is just for me one of the defining like artists of kind of 90s comics, where it's these pictures that don't look realistic, or not aspiring to be realistic or convincing, but are instead kind of heightened, stylized, and atmospheric. Just beautiful comics through and through. So yes, very, very sad to hear about that loss.
There you go. R.I.P. Pure Pyro with a €2 dono. Thank you so much. Have you guys seen Space Station 76 from 2014? I've not. I've never heard of this. I looked it up.
Is
It
that
looks
the
like
one
it's
with
a sci-fi
Hugh Laurie?
Space parody movie.
No, that's
so.
that's the Hotel in Space TV show from
Yes.
Armando Iannucci.
Yeah. This has got Patrick Wilson and Liv Tyler. I know them.
Oh.
Oh, hey, it does indeed, with a mustache, and not Homer. With a goatee. I got to ask you whether it's Liv Tyler or Patrick Wilson who has the mustache, but yes, it is Patrick Wilson who has the mustache. Interesting.
Yeah. No, never heard of this. Seems like it's a kind of a pastiche, a take up on 70s sci-fi like Star Wars and Silent Running. So there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
neat.
Well, that's going on the list.
Added to the
But
never
they bring
ending it feels like it's on Tubi. Without even looking, this feels like a Tubi.
Has a vibe of a Tubi quality.
Just looking at the DVD cover that Eric put up there.
Yeah, looking at kind of the quick and dirty Photoshop on that cover, you might be a Tubi.
You might be on Tubi.
It doesn't have Jeremy Piven puppeting somebody like clearly.
That's 100% a Tubi.
Yeah.
Sussy Guru, thank you so much for the €10 dono. Project Hail Mary, or how it's titled in Germany, Der Astronaut. Project Hail Mary, continuing the tradition of making sure everyone knows it's a movie about an astronaut. In case the cover that showed a dude in space didn't say that, Der Astronaut.
Der Astronaut.
I do like that Ryan Gosling is Der Astronaut. There's it's right there. Everything you need to know about the movie is there.
By the way,
don't they call it Nosferatu their vampire as well? It's also like a German title.
And you also know it's a male astronaut because it's Der is for men, whereas I believe DIE is for women. So,
Yeah.
There you go. A little German fact for you guys that may or may not be correct because I haven't taken German in a very long time. So,
but the key thing is you're confident, right?
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about German. As long as you're confident, the Germans will respect you. Weird thing to say. Waiting for Viva Pinata. Thank you so much. $100.
You guys, just out of curiosity, do you guys know what dodgeball is called in German?
The movie Dodgeball or the game Dodgeball?
What the movie Dodgeball is called in German.
Der Astronaut : Dodgeball.
Straight in the balls, I believe it's called.
Straight in the balls.
Beautiful.
That's kind of beautiful. I mean, honestly, that is kind of what the movie's about.
That's a great pun. Yeah.
Airplane is titled The Unbelievable Trip in a Crazy Airplane.
Honestly, more movies should just be literal.
Also a great and apropos title. Yeah.
But also you could, there's a lot, Snakes on a Plane could be called that. A lot of movies. Langoliers could definitely be called that.
Air Force One.
Force One. Was the movie Jodie Foster loses her kid and they're like, you didn't have a kid? And she's like, I swear to God, I had a kid when I fell asleep.
Flight Plan, that's Flight Plan. But Die Hard is called Die Slowly. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me is titled Austin Powers, Spy on Secret Missionary Position.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We should go back to that. Waiting for Viva Pinata. Thank you so much for the dono. Is Project Hail Mary a prequel to The Passion of the Christ? Because I'm still waiting for that sequel. It's coming soon, I think.
2 parts as well.
Fuck.
So much resurrection.
I'm going to treat it like Avatar.
Being turned into movies.
I mean, I do want to put a pin in that one when we come back to actually talking about Project Hail Mary, because I think Project Hail Mary is a Christian movie. I was quite surprised at how overtly Christian Project Hail Mary is, in that it's quite literally about Hail Mary full of grace. But we'll circle back around to that point.
Okay, I like this. I'm excited for this take. Minduel, thank you so much, a $2 dono. Endings give me anxiety / pain-stalgia. Am I broken? No, I mean, I think there's a specific term for a kind of malaise people enter when they finish a long running TV show that they've binged, or finish a big beefy RPG. And I think it's partly you spend so much time with something, your empathy kind of becomes entwined with those characters, and so no longer having them it kind of bleeds
it's
out.
It's to a breakup, isn't it? There was a study possibly during the pandemic, to be honest, but that was it's akin to the emotional pain of a breakup, which you understand. But when you've been spending hundreds of episodes with them. My mom was not the same after she finished Suits. For 2 weeks, she just wandered around the house listless.
Well, and No, there's nothing broken with you. It's like, oh, this thing I enjoyed is over, and I can go back, but it will never be the same. It will never be the same as the first time. Yeah,
Because
that's
I'll
normal.
never be the same. Because you can't step in the same river twice. No,
Yeah.
that is profound. And I mean, that part of me is like, as wary as I am of nostalgia, I understand that. I understand the urge to see something continue on and to live with something. Like, do I find something heartening in the idea that I will not live to see the last Batman comic? Yes, I kind of do. I think there's something kind of nice about the idea that like this thing that I love will continue indefinitely past me. I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
Great. And then waiting for Viva Pinata with another dono. Thank you so much. We need a crossover between Buffy Summers, the vampire hunter, and Buffy Sanders, a kryptonite-fueled vampire from Smallville.
That was absolutely a Buffy reference in Smallville, right? That there's no way you named the vampire character Buffy accidentally.
100%.
Yeah, that's
You don't show up in the writer's room with your script and go, "I've got a pitch," and they're like, "We have some questions."
We got some questions. Okay, let's we'll save the rest of these for after. Let's jump into Project Hail Mary.
Sure.
That's our big beefy topic. Let's talk. I mean, or unless did you guys have any Oscar takes? I mean, I feel like it's been like a week and a half.
I think all of the things, all of the winners that I saw are like, yep, great.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
It was a good
Sucks that
movie.
Marty Supreme got shut out, but doesn't matter.
Feels oddly appropriate that like Marty Supreme entered the race as like the definitive frontrunner, almost destined to win. May as well have handed the Oscar directly to Timmy, and yet somehow in the space of the couple of weeks leading up to the award, managed to sabotage it completely. I really just want him to come back for Dune Part 3, like full Marty mode,
Yeah. And lost his Best Actor award to someone who came up who said I'm a vampire right at the end. Kind of beautiful in that respect. Yeah, it's like poetry.
Paul Atreides has to kiss a pig, and that's the thing.
His ass slapped.
Yeah.
I want to say like the most scandal I can recall is Best Supporting Actor, which is like it just went to Sean Penn, who was brilliant, instead of going to was it
Benicio del Toro,
Delroy Lindo, or
Benicio. Any of them would have been like
anyone who showed up. Kieran Culkin just wanted to hand the award to someone, so I kind of feel bad for Kieran Culkin. It's funny because he said in an interview, Robert Downey Jr., who had won the award the previous year for Oppenheimer and who was the one who presented the award to Kieran, said the only thing better than winning the Oscar is getting to present it the next year to the winner. And Kieran was like, well, I never got to do that. My winner for you was hanging out with Zelensky in the Ukraine.
To be fair, is like Kieran Culkin has big like Robert Pattinson-esque energy of like, don't believe a word he says. Lies. Where it's like, he was also talking about how like Robert Downey Jr. tells him that Robert Downey Jr. takes the Oscar out in the car with him.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, like Robert Downey Jr. takes the Oscar on a car ride. Because you gotta freshen things up every once in a while. You don't want to get bored in that corner of your house.
Listen, if I had to give interviews all day for the same movies I didn't care about, I would also just start lying. Just to entertain myself.
Specifically about Robert Downey Jr. and his Oscar.
Exactly. He's rich enough. He doesn't care. But yeah, let's talk about Project Hail Mary, the new movie from directors Lord and Miller of the Jump Streets / Lego movie / producers of the Spider-Verse movie. Also written by Drew Goddard, who's a great screenwriter in my opinion, and starring Ryan Gosling. So right off the bat, Darren, we'll do a little bit of non-spoiler talk before we jump into spoilers. What did you think of Project Hail Mary?
This is one of those things where I really liked it, but didn't like it as much as everybody else, which is a very strange situation to find yourself in. Where, like, obviously I saw this movie early, but even then there was already hubbub of, like, this is the greatest movie of all time. And has only since the film's come out been like, oh yeah, this movie will cure blindness. This movie will save cinema. And I'm like, it's a pretty good movie. I had a really good time with it. Let's pump the brakes just a little bit on this. To speak about what I really liked about it, like, incredibly well made. You mentioned all of the craft people involved. Like Drew Goddard's a great writer. Lord and Miller are like very good directors in terms of managing tone, in terms of doing set piece, in terms of understanding what an audience wants from a film. Gosling is an incredibly charismatic lead performer, and here he's doing that kind of like himbo thing that he's really honed in on with like Since the Nice Guys, obviously in Barbie, which got him the Oscar nomination. Like again, you're playing with kind of house money in this sense, which I really enjoyed. But like. And it looks beautiful as well. I want to shout out, it's Greg Fraser did the cinematography on it as well. Like some really beautiful use of color in it. It's absolutely stunning. Does make me miss the fact that like Fraser, who did the Batman and who did Dune, is doing neither of the sequels to those projects, because isn't he doing all of the Beatles movies?
He's doing all, instead of doing Dune 3 and the Batman Part 2, he's shooting all 4 of the Beatles movies.
Yeah. But like it looks gorgeous, it sounds gorgeous, the score is incredible. It hits all of the notes that it needs to hit. Without getting too deep into spoilers, there is obviously Gosling is the lead of this movie. There is a second lead of this movie. That second lead is absolutely incredible. It is a character that just works. Like it works incredibly well, and the audience is eating out of whatever the orifice that creature is using. But it is like, it's a really well characterized, really well performed like creature and kind of cast member, and Gosling is an incredibly generous co-star with it. It is shot very well by Lord and Miller, who obviously like have experience from producing animation on it, and it is very, very well made. All of that said, which is like 4-star movie, really enjoyed it, would recommend, see it on as big a screen as possible. 2 big caveats from me. First of which is...
Wait, really quick. You said eating out of whatever orifice? That's like if the phrase wasn't eating out of my hand, it's like you're eating out of my ass.
I'll get them eaten right out of my mouth. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a millennial, right? That's what remember when that was the thing. It was like, what do millennials like? Avocado toast and like eating out of RFI. But
okay, sorry. You're 2 things. My apologies.
2 things. We'll get to a point eventually. Yeah. First thing is, we talked about this in the canon of like sad astronaut movies. This movie needs to be sadder is the main thing. It is very jokey, it's very lighthearted, it's very fun, which is grand. Like a good lighthearted movie, like a movie that has a sense of humor about it. You mentioned, obviously, this is based on an Andy Weir book. It's adapted by Drew Goddard. The point of reference is something like The Martian. The Martian is a very funny movie, famously nominated for Best Musical or Comedy at the Golden Globes. But it is funny. It has jokes in it. It's very amusing. I rewatched it recently as well, right? But the thing about The Martian is that The Martian has...
Hold on for a second. Eric, we're not doing spoilers yet. No need to spoiler alert yet.
Yes. Not yet. Yeah. We're talking about like the bar. We're talking about different movies.
Yeah, well, we'll make it very, very clear when it's spoilers.
Very, very clear when we're jumping to spoilers. But like that movie still has stakes. You still have like a sense of like the stake and what's important and like what matters, and you still care about the characters and feel a very real sense of like drama in what's happening. Where like the main character in The Martian, who's played by Matt Damon, who can be funny and charismatic, but is also capable of being like serious. Having rewatched that movie, like there are several points where it's very clear that like Matt Damon's character thinks he's going to die and has to reckon with the fact that he thinks he's going to die. And he might joke about it, he might goof about it, but you can see in the performance that there's a real sense of like gravity to it. But like even in the movies that this is emulating, like 2001: Space Odyssey, like Interstellar, like Sunshine, like, you know, even the ultimate sad astronaut movie, First Man, but even Ad Astra, whatever, there's always a sense of like gravity to this. And it's something that I do like about space movies, is the question of like alienation, right? If you are in space, you are by definition cut off from the people around you. There's that really profound statement from William Shatner, of all people, who was like, I was in Star Trek and I went up into space, and I expected that I would look down at Earth and see this big blue marble, as Carl Sagan described it, and feel a profound connection to humanity. And what I actually felt, and what felt really weird as we came down and Jeff Bezos was spraying champagne over everybody, was I was like, I never felt more alone than I did in space. I never felt more separate from other people than I did in space. And for me, like a large part of what makes those astronaut movies so compelling is they are about that. They're about that idea of separation. And I think that like one of my big issues with Project Hail Mary is I never feel that. It is always, always, always trying to reassure me that everything is all right, that everything is okay, that the character is never in any serious peril, that it's all a joke. We're not taking this too seriously. When you're like, the stakes of the movie are quite unequivocally the highest stakes that there could possibly be. There is a major character beat in the third act. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a major character beat in the third act that should change the tone of the movie and the audience's relationship to the character and the character's relationship to the plot of the movie. But the movie just kind of like gets past it because we don't want to dwell too heavily on that, because that kind of bring the mood down a bit. You're like, maybe the mood should be brought down. Maybe that's something we should process and unpack. That's my first issue. And my second issue is that like, I listed all those space movies that the movie riffs on, and that it's great. Like, good artists borrow, great artists steal. You know, like it's grand to have influences. It's grand to borrow from stuff. Lord and Miller in particular are like magpies. They draw from pop culture. They pick, they reference. Like the Lego movie is like one of the movies that helped establish them. 21, 22 Jump Street. You know, they produced the Spider-Verse movies, all of which are movies which are like taking things that already exist, meshing them together, and making an exciting new movie out of them, right? And even something like in the larger context of pop culture, the metamodernism of something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is things that you recognize and things that you love mashed together to make something new. And my biggest issue with Project Hail Mary is that it is full of things that I recognize, but it is the first time that it doesn't feel like there's any innovation happening. Where like Lord and Miller in Spider-Verse used the idea of taking these disparate influences and ideas and versions of Spider-Man to make a point that anybody can be Spider-Man and that anybody can be a superhero, which is an important thematic point that is reflected in how the movies piece together. In 22 Jump Street or 21 Jump Street, they're using it to comment on the, ideological bankruptcy of contemporary Hollywood. We're drawing on all these elements because, as Nick Offerman helpfully explains, Hollywood is all out of ideas, and they just assume if you recycle these things, people will open their mouths and swallow or whatever it is. Even something like the Lego movie, which is a movie about like playing with toys and the joy of like putting different toys together and through play understanding one another. It makes sense to have Gandalf stand next to Batman, relatively speaking, to do that. And my big problem with this movie is that it takes all these elements from movies that I love, and we mentioned that it does, like, there are entire sequences lifted wholesale from, like, Interstellar, from 2001 Space Odyssey, and it doesn't do anything new with them. It doesn't use them to say anything I find particularly novel or profound, where it's like, obviously Interstellar owes a lot to 2001 Space Odyssey, but that movie is in conversation with 2001 Space Odyssey. It's Nolan saying, I am different from Kubrick because if I made 2001 Space Odyssey, it would look like this. I don't get that from Project Hail Mary. I don't get a sense of we're using these elements to say something new. I just get a sense of we're using these elements because, well, they're good elements, right? They just fit together really well. And that's perfectly fine, perfectly satisfying, but it is what holds the movie back from like true greatness for me. Sorry to be something
that's something that I thought about a lot while watching the movie, because I know you use that term a lot in conversation, which I think is a wonderful way to talk about kind of that the metaphor process, the reflection process of like, oh yeah, we are doing this thing, but we are saying this with this sequence, with this series of images. This is the conversation that we are having. Now you get to have the conversation back to us, and that was very similar to my thoughts. Was this is a movie without conversation. It has very little to say, even within the given text of the movie. Agreeing with Darren 100% that this is a very good movie. This is a solid movie that I will probably never want to watch again because it just won't. It's just not that interesting. It is a solid movie that's not that interesting. If you've watched a movie, you will know all the beats to this movie, which is very sad to say because it's very good.
Yeah, we'll get into full spoiler talk shortly because I do think there's a lot of interesting things to kind of pick apart when you dig in the specifics. But yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around. I feel largely the same way as you guys. I wanted to enjoy it more than I did because so many of those movies we just mentioned are movies I really did walk out of the theater kind of gobsmacked by. Yeah. My biggest takeaway from this was my theater was completely full. And they loved it. Yeah. And like I was trying to kind of be an emotional vampire and I was trying to absorb some of that love and I just like couldn't. And so I enjoyed the spectacle of it all. I do still really like Ryan Gosling. I do think Ryan Gosling is like, if we don't have capital M movie stars anymore, if we only have lowercase m movie stars, I do think he's one of our lowercase m movie stars. But I think I agree wholeheartedly with Darren that I wish the movie had a little bit more edge to it, a little bit more bite, especially when it veers into situations and scenarios that should like. This should be quiet after this. We should have to think and stew in these moments. And that's one thing this movie kind of never shuts the fuck up. And I think that's
ironic for a movie that, as Jack said, is not in conversation with anything.
No, right. It is kind of shocking how, in terms of a movie where a vast majority of it, he is the only human on screen. And it just, the movie never slows down and shuts up, which so many of those other space movies do, right? So many of those other movies are lonely and contemplative and quiet and kind of make you sit with everything that's happening. This thing, and I think maybe one of the reasons this is like a genuinely feel good movie.
100%.
At no point did I ever feel like this wasn't going to turn out well. Granted, I read the book last year, but at no point did I ever feel like this wasn't going to turn out well. Whereas every one of those other movies, there's like a sense of like real dread or menace that I think this movie's kind of lacking. I mean, that's not the point. Maybe that's why it's like a 4-quadrant, crowd pleaser.
Why this landed and Ad Astra did not is like, because like there's never a moment where Brad Pitt befriends a lovable rock monster in Ad Astra.
Here's my conspiracy theory. Be with me here. Lord and Miller, who are filmmakers, my kids were at a certain age where I watched Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs probably over 50 times all the way through. Like, I've seen that movie. I have gags from that movie burnt into my brain. It's one of my favorite.
Good movie too. It's like there's worse movies to have to watch 50 times. With kids.
I will take it. I think it's brilliant. But like, so I am on the Lord and Miller train. I am here for whatever they do, but very famously, they got fired from a big sci-fi movie for fucking around too much.
With Disney money.
Disney money is they, and this we probably will never get the full story, but the rumor is that they were trying to fuck around with Star Wars and get one by Disney by making the Han Solo movie bad on purpose. Make it a B movie, make it a drive-in B movie. This is all, hearsay and conspiracy. We cannot confirm any of this. But they got fired from Han Solo. Ron Howard had to finish it. While I was watching Project Hail Mary, the only thing I could think of is this is their apology to their agents and business managers.
Interesting, because I actually do wonder if like their Han Solo movie was probably closer in tone to this. Honestly, I probably would have liked a Han Solo movie in this tone more than I like this movie in this tone. And I like this movie a lot. I need to clarify that, because there are some people in the comments who are like, "You're all soulless husks who can't enjoy good things." I enjoyed it. I just didn't think it was the second coming. But I do wonder if like the tone of this movie feels like the kind of what I imagine the tone to their Solo would have been, because no Star Wars project has a tone like this. Even the jokey, goofy ones, none of them are this goofy. None of them are this silly, if that makes sense. They're kind of closer in tone to something like, not Sunshine, maybe not 2001. I guess, okay, they're maybe closer to this than they are to any of those other sad astronaut movies, but they're still not this far in this direction,
No, and I always got the impression that they were trying to do their Lord and Miller thing, which is like subvert, trying to say something about Star Wars. I guess my read on their take, which of course is all hearsay and all whatnot, my read on their take of Star Wars was, let's turn it into a B sci-fi movie like where Star Wars started. Disney wanted to go prestige, and we ended up with the Ron Howard amalgamation of unbearable crap
from the director of Hillbilly Elegy. Thank you very much, Jack.
Real rough 1-2 punch. Real rough 1-2 punch for old Arrested Development there,
right? And so in my head, what I kept thinking while watching this movie is, so this is Lord and Miller playing it safe, appeasing the studio, just doing what they do, or like doing what a good director would do, which is land the plane and please everybody. And again,
I was gonna say Eric needs to switch the internet. If we can give him a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Go on. Go ahead.
Eric.
You can switch the internet, Eric, and I think you could put the spoiler thing up, because I think we're ready to start spoiling.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Pause.
I'm going to do more stuff.
I mean, I think that's just a button.
Eric hasn't come back. Wait, Eric. Oh, 1 sec.
Oh, 1 sec.
1 sec. Oh, 1 sec.
Oh, and we're live.
Holding for room tone. Okay, we're back.
Okay. Yeah. Good. So no. I really liked Project Hail Mary. I had a wonderful, on my scale of bunch of crunch to nuncha crunch, I had a full small popcorn and a bunch of crunch, and I felt great afterwards. This was all bunch of crunch. This is a phenomenal movie. I recommend it to everyone. But it's not a movie that makes you think. It's not a movie. It's like Marty said, this is not a movie where you ever think anything sad will happen. And this is a movie quite literally about the universe dying. And never through any point in this movie did I actually think anyone would be harmed.
Yeah.
And this is a movie that opens with 2 dead astronauts, by the way. Like,
Yes. Oh, right. Even with that tone doesn't go through. I do think some of that is just in the adaptation of it all and in the Lord and Miller of it all. We are in full spoiler territory right now. Heads up, everybody, full spoiler. The movie starts off with Ryan Gosling in space on a year-long mission, and he has amnesia. If I'm going to nitpick this movie very hard, that amnesia plays almost no way within the movie's narrative. At no point does him having amnesia mean anything.
Can I throw something to you, Jack?
Go ahead, throw it to me.
What that does is it allows you to get into space very quickly narratively without having to spend a half hour on Earth being sad beforehand. Like it is, and obviously like it builds the third act, like it enables the third act twist. But like while I was watching the movie, I was like, oh yeah, this is a plot device because we don't want to do the Interstellar thing of spending an hour on Earth focusing on how Earth is dying before the movie actually gets into space.
And
because
I will
might ruin the buzz. Yeah.
One, that's a great point, Darren. I will counter that because it doesn't enable the third act twist because the third act twist doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. It's a Benny Hill scene. They play the third act twist like a Benny Hill scene.
Yeah,
I guess the two big things we kind of been circling around. One, I think, can we all agree Rocky is a wonderful character and bit of puppetry, animatronic work. I think some CG in there, like one of the most fun non-human characters I've seen in a movie in a very long time.
Yeah.
Incredible
Rocky
design.
is wonderful. The story goes that Ryan Gosling was acting opposite the puppeteer for Rocky, and Ryan Gosling had such great chemistry with the puppeteer that they just used the puppeteer as the voice of Rocky, and that was not their original plan, and I think that's beautiful.
Literally, watching the movie, I was like 75% convinced it was Kumail Nanjiani, and then the credits rolled up, and I was like, that wasn't Kumail, wasn't in this movie at all. But that was a testament to that voice performance, because when it does have its little text-to-speech thing, it becomes such a fun little, like, I don't know, little like Rocky Roomba.
Yeah. And like what is kind of incredible is it reminds me a bit of like we mentioned Predator Badlands from late last year. A very similar sort of thing of like, can you make the audience care for a character or protagonist that does not have a face, that does not have like a recognizably human face? And Badlands, obviously, like they make the Predator's eyes smaller, but it's still alien. Whereas like this literally has no face. Rocky has no face, but he's able to express himself, and you care so much about him. Like it's an incredible performance.
Incredible performance, and also like a really wonderful way to do an alien. We probably. Or I have talked about this, which is like Contact being one of my not Contact. Contact is a great movie, but I'm thinking of
Arrival.
Thank you for understanding.
There's a fair whack of Arrival. There's a fair whack of Arrival in that scene where he goes and meets Rocky as well. Sorry, that was in. I should have mentioned that in my list of movies that this movie.
Yeah, and learning to communicate and everything.
Learning to communicate, but I mean, we can count that as a sad astronaut movie, I think.
Oh, sure.
But also like making the aliens very alien is really hard to do. In the Star Trek of it all, usually you just put a prosthetic on someone's nose, and so here they gave us an alien that truly was alien, and that felt really great when they finally started to bond. Yeah,
and the thing it reminded me of, which isn't an alien, it was a robot, but that thing in Interstellar, the weird like the obelisk that has
cars.
Arms.
Yes, it's very cars, yes.
Of like, I've never seen a thing like this before, but it's so kind of well thought out that you immediately buy into it. You're like, oh yeah, any way this thing moves, I'm totally bought in.
Largely practical puppet that is voiced by the puppeteer. Bill Irwin is like a comedian a comedian in the French sense, a clown, but he's like a puppeteer and stuff. Yeah.
No, so I mean that was wonderful. I think the story is very interesting. I loved all of the flashback sequences. I think that was really wonderful storytelling. Is we kind of like see where Ryan Gosling. I say Ryan Gosling. Grace. I can't remember his name.
Ryland Grace. Yes, it is a movie about the Hail Mary full of grace, but we will circle back to that.
Right. And so we, Grace, we're seeing him on his current mission. There are microbes eating suns, eating stars, and the Earth is on a course to die because our sun is dying. There is one star in the entire solar system that is not dying. And so Project Hail Mary is send a bunch of astronauts there, not to fix our problem, just to see if they can fix our problem, which I think is brilliant, really fun, interesting sci-fi story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then every beat after that is exactly what you think it will be in a movie like this. And to those who say we are curmudgeonly old men who feel no joy, that is a genuine downside in all of the movies that we watch. We watch so many movies. Sometimes when you see this many movies, you see those beats happen. And then when they do happen exactly when you think you're going to happen, you are a little disappointed.
Well, and the movie does. There's a few moments where it feels like, oh, okay, this is where things are going to turn. You have when Ryan Gosling and Sandra Hüller, who is great in this movie, who just entered my radar a few years ago with the 1-2 punch of Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest. Just incredible, like season tickets. She's going to be in the new Tom Cruise movie this year,
Digger.
Yeah, which I'm very much looking forward to. There's a scene where the two of them are talking, and then in the background you see this massive explosion, and then the sound wave hits them, and it's this kind of Challenger-esque moment where it's like, oh, the two of our scientists just died.
It's a plot beat from like First Man. It's where Ryan Gosling is going to space because the guys who were supposed to go to space blew up in the spacecraft. It's again, and then in terms of like the pigeonness of it.
100%. And then that leads to that moment where, she's like, you are our last hope. You need to go on this mission, which is a suicide mission. This mission, we have enough fuel to get there, not enough fuel to get back. And he is like, I can't. I do not have it in me. I am a teacher. I am not a hero. You need to figure this out. And she's like, I hope someday you'll realize I'm doing this because I trust you, not because out of spite or anything. She's like, we're going to force you to go on this mission. And these men come in to sedate him. And I thought it was going to play out seriously. And I was like, this is going to be fucking devastating. Yeah. And then it turns into a Benny Hill moment. It's literally like, he's climbing on the cupboard, and he's running on the background, and then they finally get him by the fence. And I'm like, this could have been like, this could have really
it's his friend who does it in the end. And
they've really bonded.
That should be a moment of betrayal. And it's like,
they bonded over karaoke. That means
that's
something.
That's the last time you see that guy. The guy who gave him the government card.
No, and it's like that is a really, or what should be a really intense moment, but like we discover this kind of through the flashback, and I had always kind of supposed that the flashbacks were meant to be him actually remembering, because several times we would come back from a flashback and you would see him like writing on a chalkboard the information that we just saw in the flashback. So he's like, oh, I finally remember I was a school teacher. Oh, I finally remember this. And then we get the flashback where we find out that he's a coward and was assigned to this mission. He got put on this rocket against his will because because of his own cowardice. And I assumed that then that would play out within the scenes after that. Like, how would we see him overcome this? How would we see him deal with it?
Yeah.
And we never saw that. We never see that. He just kind of is already over it. And he's here and he's going to save the day and solve the problem.
Yeah, he doesn't I was expecting a moment where he digs into that like bladder of Russian vodka and gets into like a stupor of some sorts and Rocky has to pull him out of it or something. But it's just glossed over.
Yes. Yeah. And that's
because there's a whole thing where Rocky's like, what is word for, and it's brave. And the whole point is like contrasting the sequence where he discovers he's a coward with him being brave. But it's like, no, we've already seen him be brave and he's going to continue being brave. Therefore, the reveal that he was a coward before he did the stuff that made him brave and is about to do stuff that will make him brave has no bearing. To your point, the third twist, it has no bearing. Third act twist,
it has no. It's like in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel movie, where like after several sequences where we see Superman being a hero, the movie dares to ask the question: will Superman be a hero?
And that was a bummer.
But that to me was that was the shining moment. That was the big shining light on the problem with a lot of the movie, which is it did lack weight. It lacked gravity. It lacked stakes.
Ironically, for a movie in space, it lacked gravity, eh?
How do they film space stuff?
Like quite early on, they're like, we figured out how to do gravity in space. Yeah. Like quite early in most of these movies, they're like, there's a centrifuge and therefore there's gravity.
But how do they film it when they're floating? Is that just them with wires?
Yeah, it's wires.
How have we not created a box where we could just take the gravity out and film in there? How have we not created that yet?
Well, what we've gotten really good.
Have a guy in a suit with a suitcase be like, I'm just removing the gravity. I'm just putting all the gravity in here.
Feels like we should be able to do that. Just take the gravity out.
Like we should be able to do that. We've gotten the big breakthrough we've made in zero gravity stuff is hair physics. Is most of the hair that you see in zero gravity scenes is 100% digital, like they're wearing caps, and they just give them 100% digital hair so it flows around. Looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
love that.
Water as well as also they used to do underwater a lot for that stuff as well. I remain astounded that like Tom Cruise hasn't done his proper like shoot a space movie in space thing that he was threatening like pre-pandemic. And I know obviously there are reasons for that.
I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go to space.
I'm holding a big red button. And it's like, what if Inarito has you like wear a fat suit and go bald? And he's like, fine.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
Okay,
Doesn't matter.
I'll put the button.
Darren, let's dig into your that this movie's one big old religious allegory. What's going on here?
Okay. I feel like we're maybe overselling it a bit, but yeah, no, I was quite taken watching it. Like how. Yeah, to Jack's point, like that question of like, what is this movie about? Which is something I do find myself asking when I watch movies. I'm like, what is this about? Obviously, I'm really enjoying it. It's a really well-made movie. It's very thrilling. It's very exciting. The production design is fantastic. But generally, there's something underpinning most movies. And you just kind of get a thread and you just start pulling at it. And I did find myself really fascinated by how, again, most of these space movies are in some way about the religious or a spiritual experience. They're quite literally about people voyaging to the heavens, leaving Earth behind, and transcending the mortal world in a very literal sense. But I was quite taken with how overtly this movie is about that, where you have, like, obviously, it's called the Hail Mary. His name is literally Grace. But you also even have the conversation with Sandra Hüller before, I believe it's after the karaoke scene, but it's around the karaoke scene where they're on the top of the ship and they're staring out at the ocean. And everybody calls the mission a miracle, is repeatedly described as a miracle. And he's like, do you really think we can pull this off? And she says, God willing. And he goes, do you believe in God? And she replies, it beats the alternative. Throughout, you have this like recurring motif of he's sent up into space with these two other people beside him. These two other people end up being entirely irrelevant to the myth that's being crafted. He is sent into the heavens so that he can redeem mankind by shining his light on them from the sky. But even like the overt ending of the movie, the overt ending of the movie, which again, full spoilers for the movie. Give me 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds if you're listening and don't want this movie spoiled. But where he transcends mortality, he leaves the human world behind, he goes to live in paradise, but he might come back one day. He might return to Earth one day and bring with him a message of peace and understanding and awareness that transcends mankind's understanding of the cosmos. To me, like, it was very overtly like a religious kind of like metaphor, a religious subtext. You know, I don't think that like Lord and Miller were sitting down going, step aside, Mel Gibson, we'll show you what the passion of the Christ is.
I mean, but Darren, quite literally, in order to be revived, he does have to move a rock aside. That's all I'm saying.
Damn it.
That's right. That's 8 years of Catholic school there for that joke.
I give that one of these.
It is all like presented as a leap of faith. It's all presented as the word miracle is described. The word faith is described. Everything involved in this movie is a leap of faith. It is and it's really interesting for like a genre that we associate with science fiction. I find it really interesting that we talk about weird stuff as hard science fiction. Like The Martian is, I think, relatively hard science fiction. But once you start introducing like astrophages and talking rock monsters, it for me slips a little outside the realm of hard science fiction and more into the lighter side of science fiction, the allegorical side of science fiction. And I do like, think that this is a movie about faith. It is a movie about belief, and it's a movie about taking those leaps of faith. It is like very obviously like leaps of faith between the ships, very overtly. So I that was the thing that was the one thing that I was kind of watching it going, is this happening? And as the movie was unfolding, it just kept happening more, and I'm like, this is not disproving the hypothesis that I have. So that's my big crazy read on this. I do want to shout out, again, talking to other film critics, a lot of stuff in the air culturally at the moment. It does feel a bit like during the 80s when you had like this big explosion of exorcism movies and this big explosion of like conservative slasher movies, and in the 2000s during the Bush administration you had the return of like exorcism movies, for example, and you had like found footage exorcism movies. It does feel very pointed that like right now there's a lot of like very Christian centric horror movies. Black Phone 2 are very Christian in their iconography. I saw Ready or Not 2, Here We Come, where the two title characters are called Faith and Grace. And as a fellow film critic pointed out, the sequence where Samara Weaving in the first movie has to like skid through a grate, she gets 2 scars on her back, which are like the surgical removal of wings from an angel. Sure. She's wearing a white dress throughout. And in like Ready or Not 2, those scars are consistently visible as well, which is they're the 2 scars she gets in the first movie that carry over. And I was like, yeah, there's something in the air right now. I don't know what it is, but there's something in the air right now.
I like how you were saying when we got a new exorcism, like we're just going to consistently get a new exorcism movie, so it's fine. Mike Flanagan's just back at work
from Flanagan's,
with Scarlett Johansson and
the Exorcist franchise was relatively fallow for a while. Like during the Bush era, they made two Exorcist sequels in the same year. Remember, they did the Rennie Harlan one and they did the Paul Schrader one, and they did them in the same year. And then they were like, you know what? Maybe we don't need to make Exorcist sequels. Recently, they made the recent David Gordon Green Exorcist movie, which bombed so hard, you would imagine they'd go, maybe we don't need more Exorcist movies. But in the space of 3 years, what have they done? Mike Flanagan Exorcist movie, baby.
Can't say no to Mike. He seems like a peach to work with. Any final I goofed about it earlier. I did really like that karaoke scene. I thought every moment Sandra Hüller was on screen was great. And I wanted more of her. I was a little bummed like none of the 2 other astronauts who were both cast as like recognizable actors really didn't get anything. Yeah, and the girl from the AT&T commercial / the werewolf movie we watched a little while ago, doing a weird Russian accent. I'm not sure why we were doing that, but that's fine.
They wanted to upplay the kind of international pull of it all.
That is the most unrealistic thing in any of these movies. Like, if first off, like I'm assuming it was like they never really blame climate change. Like they never really say like this was our fault.
Yeah,
like we are the reason the Earth is probably dying. I guess they could just blame the
astrophages.
Astrophages. Yeah. But the fact that like all these nations would come together and work together is so unrealistic. This would never happen.
Remember, there was that sequence in the movie where while talking with Grace, the director whose actress I don't know the name of, Sandra Hüller very clearly said like we have 30 years assuming all the world nations work together, and we cannot assume all the world's nations will work together. So I think but again nothing really matters in this movie.
This is where like I really love The Martian, and one of the things The Martian does do is it has the same sort of idea of the entire world coming together, where you have like career like bureaucrats sacrificing their careers to bring him home, for example. You have Chinese astronauts literally turning to each other and going, we need to tell the Americans and make sure this doesn't go through government channels, because of course we're all going to work to bring this guy down. And it, like, to me, The Martian works because it is an embodiment of like late Obama era optimism of maybe we are all in this together. And like The Martian, which I love so much, is this kind of like space western of he's on Mars, he's colonizing Mars, he's on this vast desert alone. It's the ultimate American iconography of like the frontier. He's gone where no man has gone before and claimed it for himself. But the entire point of the movie is that doesn't mean anything because as an entire species, we have to come together and get him back. The important part of The Martian isn't Mark Whitney colonizing Mars. It's the entire world coming together to help somebody who needs it. And that's like a really beautiful part of that movie. Here, I did find myself being like, but also it doesn't, the rest of the world doesn't matter because it's all on Ryan Gosling's shoulders. Like there are no other characters. Like you mentioned the inclusion of like, again, the Russian astronaut, the Chinese astronaut, but like the iconography of the movie is pretty much entirely American, where they're on like an American carrier, and like the culture that he's referencing is almost exclusively American. By the way, very exclusively Amazon and MGM as well, with Rocky and Planet Adrian. Not that I'm accusing this of engaging in like War of the Worlds type Amazon-esque like internal marketing, but it is a really interesting difference between this and The Martian, where like for me, The Martian is, to your point, much better at selling that idea of a truly international community coming together in a way that you hope that they would, know that they probably wouldn't, but hope that they would come together to deal with this problem. Whereas in this movie, it gestures towards that, but it's still all on Mark's show. It's all on Grace's shoulders. The one American has to save us all, you know?
Yeah. He didn't want to be there that day. He's like the dude in Clerks. I wasn't even supposed to be here today. Now I'm in space.
And I should be clear, I really loved it. And I would say see it on as big a screen as possible.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
the colors are fantastic. The visuals are stunning. The score is incredible. The cast, obviously Hooler and Gosling are really, really good. Rocky is fantastic as well. For all that I may have these little nitpicky problems with it, it's a good time at the pictures.
I think our nitpicks are, it could have been great.
Yeah, it could have been great.
And instead it's just good.
Instead, it's just good, and well, the nitpicks are always because of the fans. Like some of that is because we know that this is going to be a huge movie. Everybody's going to watch this. Like Darren says, a lot of people are already treating this as the best movie of the year, the greatest thing that your grandma has seen, and it's like it's good. This is a very good movie. But that's it.
That being said, I'm happy it's making a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
Anytime any movie makes a lot of money, I'm happy when fucking Minecraft makes a lot of money. So,
and this is better than Minecraft. Like this is the thing. It's like if you put a gun to my head, I love that Marty's like, is it better than Minecraft?
Yes,
but if you put like
not Minecraft 2 though, Kirsten Dunst, Kiki's in it.
Yes, indeed. Getting that money. I love that she called her shot. Was like, I'd love to be in the Minecraft movie because I'd love to make money on starring in a movie just once.
God knows, Civil War ain't paying the bills.
Yeah, Roofman ain't paying the bills. Yeah. Both of which great movies, to be clear. Yeah. But yeah, like, if you put a gun to my head and make me choose between seeing Kraven the Hunter and like this, it'll be this 100 times out of 10.
Yes, of course.
I'd be like, I will watch this. I will watch this 10 times. Just don't make me watch Kraven the Hunter again.
Remember there was that little window we thought Kraven might be good? Or at least I thought. I don't want to speak for anyone else.
I was on that as well. I was like, they're holding it back until the end of the year. It's obviously awards season. That's what they're holding it back for. That's the only reason they'd be releasing in December. But it's J.C. Chandler who makes good, like, action movies, makes good movies that don't really exist anymore. He's got like Russell Crowe in it, and Russell Crowe's always a good time. Even if he no longer like stands up to act, which, whatever, no judgment on Russell Crowe there. But yeah, and then the movie was what it was.
The movie was what it was. Well, and the thing I'm really hoping for is that this, like I said, my conspiracy theory is this is Lord and Miller making the safest movie they possibly can to make their agents and managers very happy so that they get another big budget sci-fi blockbuster and then they can start fucking around again. And that's what I'm really hoping for, is that they get a chance to fuck around some more.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse 3 is coming. I know they don't direct that. I know they produce it, but Spider-Verse 3 is coming, and that'll be interesting.
Is it?
I hope the animators are treated well on it.
Is it coming?
I won't believe it until I actually see it in the theater.
Yeah. Before we move on to more super chats and then the rest of the stuff we've been watching, we shouted out a bunch of space movies that we recommended to folks. We shouted out stuff like Arrival, Ad Astra, Interstellar. I think we mentioned Moon, Solaris, High Life, Sunshine.
We didn't mention Moon, but we now are mentioning Moon.
Yeah, I'm naming a bunch of them because I like all those movies. Like I'm just kind of a mark for
Eric,
sad dudes in Any other space movies you would recommend, or any of those you would like let people know? How did that do that?
For those just listening, Kirk made the spoiler alert sign like spin and disappear like in a cartoon. It was great.
Yeah. Any of
Great that
those?
the three hosts of the show are constantly befuddled by the fact that it works at all.
How does it work? It's magic. Like at the very least, you guys edit videos. You should know that stuff works. To me, it's sorcery. Any other kind of sad space movies you'd recommend to people? Not even necessarily sad, happy space movies that kind of feel like they would pair well with this.
Gravity. I don't know if we've talked a lot about Gravity, but like Gravity is just one of those, like, to me, quintessential sad space movies. Is like that's an incredible sense of loneliness, really wonderful space stuff, sci-fi stuff. Really liked Gravity.
Incredible special effects, and like it's one of the great post-conversion 3D movies. Like again, like I hate to be the guy who's like, I'm gonna recommend 3D, but like when 3D was good, it was good. Like when you had like Martin Scorsese or Steven Spielberg doing 3D, it was generally high quality. And like Cuarón's work on Gravity in 3D is incredible. It's like it uses, as you might imagine, the depth of field really, really well, and it looks stunning. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen on an IMAX screen. So yeah, Gravity is incredible. I do want to shout out First Man, because that did not get enough love and is also a Ryan Gosling movie. And like, I want to throw this open to the group, right? Because I want to be careful about this, which is Gosling has talked about this, and I understand Gosling's perspective on this, and Gosling should do whatever Gosling wants to do to make Gosling happy. All of that is accepted, right? And he's talked about how he's made a conscious effort in his career to pivot to making comedies because his therapist told him to. And because it makes it easier for his wife and kids to live with him. Because when he's in a headspace of doing a movie like Drive, not the funnest guy to be around. So to that, it's like you bring that home with you a little bit, and it's like I feel like you could maybe decompress, right? I feel like maybe you need to just learn to separate yourself and your work a little bit more. But yeah, okay, obviously, whatever makes him happy, whatever makes his family happy, and he's very good at this stuff. But part of me does miss like the proper like dramatic Gosling, and obviously, you know, I don't need him to go do like Only God Forgives or Drive at the very extreme end of it, but like even something like La La Land, it feels like he's no longer in the zone where I could ask him to do a La La Land, where he is funny and sweet and charming, but also has this incredible dark sadness at his core. And like I do find myself missing that, because it's like I found myself watching Project Hail Mary, I kind of wishing that I got a little bit of like the First Man melancholy and disconnect in it, where like First Man, for those who have not seen it, is basically what if Neil Armstrong went to space to get away from the death of his child, and is exactly as upbeat and sweet and moving and charming as that premise makes it to sound. But it is this incredibly moving meditation on the idea of like alienation, of feeling separate and distant from other people, which while I'm watching Project Hail Mary, I'm like, this should maybe be a little bit about like being distant and alien from other people. And I'm like, am I the only person who feels that? Am I the only person who like just misses that Gosling a little bit?
It is funny how kind of like his career or his like trajectory and Emma Stone's trajectory met in the middle at La La Land, and then like Emma Stone was like, I'm gonna go full hardcore drama, and he's like, no, I'll see you on the other side. I'm going funny.
Where's my easy A?
Yeah. Well, they had their 3 movies together. They had Crazy Stupid Love, Gangsterland, or Gangster Squad,
Gangster Squad, starring 3-time Academy Award winner Sean Penn. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, did he show up to that one?
Starred like Josh Brolin. Am I getting
Sean Penn was in it. I believe Brolin was the lead.
Okay.
I don't actually remember. There's no way to remember.
No, he was. He played Mickey Cohen, the gangster, in what I'm sure was a very sensitive and subdued performance.
A couple of people in chat are mentioning this movie called Aniara, which sounds like it was like a Swedish sci-fi movie from like 8 or 9 years ago, which I'd never heard of, but several people were recommending it, and the poster looks very cool. So Aniara, that's what I'm going to add to my list. Not that poster. Not that poster's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean like fuck that poster. I just meant the poster on the Wikipedia page. Oh, why am I signed in to Second Wind? That's weird. I don't like that. I didn't mean to do that. I don't like when I do that. I don't want to speak for everyone at Second Wind. Everyone didn't mean to post the Wikipedia page of this movie. That's a cool poster. Look at that poster. It's a cool poster.
That is a cool poster.
That is a cool poster.
Have we seen it before? The poster. Feels like we've seen the poster before. Right.
Looks like I don't know. Looks fun. Cool. You guys
Eric's
want
like,
to-
we did. Eric, who has a better memory than the three people hosting this podcast,
Yep.
is like, yep, we did. We talked about this movie.
Oh, well, none of us have watched it since then. You guys just need to keep donating and eventually we'll get around to it. Speaking of, let's go over some of those super chats. Inverse Skies, thank you so much. $8. Just want to know what Darren's favorite Tintin comic is. Also, thanks for finding my obscure X-Files comic in Discord post.
Oh, thank you. The X-Files comic was on like the Stefan Petrucca and Charles Adler run of the X-Files, which is one of my favorite like licensed comic books published there. In terms of Tintin stuff, I kind of hate to be that guy, but I'm a little bit like the Castafaria Emerald is kind of my favorite, which is
one of those guys.
One of those, like, yeah, you know, because Tintin bros were just so common that everyone's like, oh, you want to stay away from the Castafaria Emerald guys. But it's the wonderful thing about Tintin, and again, we'll breeze through this very quickly, I promise, is that like Tintin is this kind of story that's told by Hergé over decades. Hergé is this Belgian artist, and the stories kind of evolve as they go. They become more like sensitive and mature as they go. And they're really great books to read as a kid because they kind of grow up with you as you read them. Where the first couple are just like really boys' own adventures, like, you know, the Cigars of the Pharaohs, the Red Sea Sharks. They're very like conventional boys' own Indiana Jones style adventures. You understand why Spielberg wanted to do a Tintin movie because it's like basically a backdoor Indiana Jones movie. But as they go on, and as you get older, because presumably you're growing up as you read them, they become weirder and more mature and more reflective and more considerate. So like Tintin in Tibet, for example, is this meditation on like Buddhist philosophy through the character of Tintin, where Tintin wanders through the Himalayas searching for a minor character from, I believe it's the Blue Lotus, who may have died. And Tintin's like dealing with grief and loss and trauma and suffering in a way that this cartoon reporter character was never meant to. And the thing about like the Castafari Emerald, which is the one that I love, is that like that is basically a deconstructed Tintin story, where it's about like Tintin between adventures. What the fuck does Tintin do? Right? It's a real like, so every time you picked up a Tintin book, he's been traveling around the world fighting drug dealers and like finding treasure and solving conspiracies and helping stop coups and all this sort of stuff. What does a day off look like for Tintin? And the Castafaria Emerald is basically Tintin is presented with a mystery that is not in fact a mystery. And as he engages in an attempt to solve the mystery in the style of a Tintin story, ends up causing all manner of chaos because it is not a Tintin story that he's wandered into. And it's just, I just love that story so much. And then there's a whole bunch of later stuff after that. Like the last one that Hergé didn't finish was Tintin and the Alpha Art, which is basically Tintin meets postmodernism. And I'm just like, it is insane. I love those books so much. Sorry, that's my Tintin corner. Apologies.
It's too continental for me. That's Tintin.
It's too like Wallace and Gromit. It's too much like Wallace and Gromit.
Oh no!
Wait, what's his name? Hergé? Who's the
Hergé?
Hergé. When Hergé makes a Pokemon thing.
Hergé. Yeah,
when Hergé makes a Pokemon thing, I'll start caring about him. Much like when Aardman's making
no
a
problem, given he's been dead for I think 50 years.
Oh dang!
One of these days.
Stick with comics. John Arbuckle with the €2 dono. Thank you so much. Comic Corner Saga by Brian K. Vaughan from Lost in Dune 3. There was no comment. I think just asking your thoughts on Brian K. Vaughan, or I guess Saga specifically.
I'm not a huge fan of Saga. I don't like, again, this is one of those things where Saga is this hugely influential book that is universally beloved. I think it's very good. It, for me, is not like the ideal Brian K. Vaughan book. The joke there is that like Vaughan is one of those guys who's, if you like comic books and you don't like superheroes or you don't want to read superhero comic books, Vaughan is like a great way into doing that, where he does stuff that is not superhero or superhero adjacent or whatever. Why the Last Man is his other big magnum opus, which he wrote at Vertigo, which is very good as well. I do want to shout Ex Machina is the Brian K. Vaughan book, which I love, which is about the ex-superhero who becomes the mayor of New York, which is basically what if Superman was The Wire, which is just like a really great premise for a comic book, and I really love it so much. But you can't go wrong with any of those. They're just three really accessible books for people who are maybe not looking for conventional like superhero sort of stuff. So would recommend that. Would recommend all three of them.
Yeah, and it was announced the other day. Yeah, he is the co-writer of Dune 3.
Yeah, he's moving into television. Like he again, and like not that he's moving into television, but he is he's expanding. Yeah. Cool.
Nick Knoll with a $5 dono. Thanks, Nick. Would Buffy be a go if Joss Whedon had never given that Vulture interview? Excuse me. What idol's downfall hurt you the most personally? Gaiman's absolutely wrecked me.
Yeah, Gaiman's is the one. Yeah,
I mean, I was the first part of that, like all the Wheaton stuff we were kind of finding out about, and then that Vulture interview just basically was a giant last nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it's if I did it without the if.
It's the OJ book.
Exactly. So no, my guess is Buffy would still be kind of in this weird limbo where like maybe there wouldn't be as many people in the anti-Joss corner, but it would still live in this world where it's like, oh, this thing that is so purely Wheaton, we don't want him to be a part of. Mm-hmm. So that part I think would stay the same.
Yeah.
What idol's downfall? Gaiman was tough.
Yeah.
Wonderful writer. Apparently terrible human being.
Hugely influential for me as a teenager. Like one of the guys who got me into comics, which is why it's such a pain and a problem. And it's again like Singer, so much of himself in the work that I don't know I'll ever be able to go back to it. And again, if you've read Sandman, stuff like Calliope reads very differently. And I mean that's a story they adapted for the TV show as well. So if you want, I don't know why you would want to, but if you want to understand what I mean, you can check that out. It is deeply unsettling, and like it is something that feels like a betrayal because when you're a teenager and you're a misunderstood teenager, or you're trying to make sense of yourself as a teenager, you're like, I found something that speaks to me. And it's the same thing with Buffy. Like I found something that understands me in a way that the people around me don't, that it like I connect with and I emotionally engage with, and I feel this strong connection to. And like Whedon and Gaiman were like personalities. Like they were early adapters of the internet. They were prominent on social media. They had these strong connections with their fans. Whedon-esque is like not just a website, it's a way of describing a way of writing. And like they did do a lot to make themselves connected to the people who loved their work, so there wasn't even that distance between it, where it wasn't even like abstracted in the way that something like, I don't know, a random Batman comic is abstracted. And so like it does really sting. To the question about like the Whedon stuff, if we're talking about like in general, and would Buffy still be a go? If we're talking about in general, I don't think Whedon factored in any way to the decision of like Hulu to kill that. I suspect based on the reports we heard that it was they didn't like the pilot. Being honest, I suspect the issue is the pilot was not Whedon-esque enough. Where like the complaints that they're making, but seriously, like the complaints they're making is there was not enough coverage and there were not enough reaction shots and there was not enough extra material that we could use to cut into scenes, which implies to me that they wanted to do a lot of ADR, they want to do a lot of dialogue stuff, whereas it's Zhao, who is a filmmaker who is like the anti-Wheaton. Like you don't look at Nomadland and go, wow, those characters sure have some great banter. My favorite part of Eternals was when they made all those pop culture references at each other.
Hamlet's quippy one-liners.
Like Hamlet is riffing on like Hamlet, but not in a Whedon-esque way. There's never a moment where like William Shakespeare turns to the camera and goes like, to be, I guess. Like instead he like contemplates suicide and repeats the line to be or not to be. Like, oh, that's where we're at emotionally. The sense I get is that like Zhao had shot the pilot like a Zhao project, which is lots of long takes, lots of wide shots, lots of silence and stillness, and lots of trusting the actors to convey information physically through their performance or their faces, which is, with all due respect to Whedon, the antithesis of Whedon's approach, which is very rapid, very cutting, very dynamic, lots of banter, lots of dialogue, lots of exposition, but delivered in a fun, witty way. And like part of me is like, I suspect the issue was not that it was too close to Whedon, but that it was too far from, if that makes sense. But I don't know.
As a fan, by the way, like for any Buffy fan out there, is that something you would have tolerated? Like that's a genuine question of like, oh, this is not what I wanted.
I mean, it's very clear that like Sarah Michelle Gellar was reportedly barely in the pilot and going to feature later in the season. But there is this sense of like it not being a heavy fan service nostalgia thing, and that being one of the reasons it was cancelled. And part of me is like, that is one of the reasons why I would be more interested in that than the Firefly thing. But it's also, if I'm sitting at Hulu and Fox and looking at the internet, that's a good reason for me to go, nope.
Like, if we have to cut something. Yeah. Cool. Murray, the Demonic Skull, with $5 Canadian. Thank you so much. It's in retrospect nice that too many Babylon 5 cast members have passed to make it worthy to bring back. In my opinion, Babylon 5 is underrated influence on peak TV. I've never watched Babylon 5. Have you guys?
No.
Sadly,
no.
I watched the TV movie.
It is one of those that comes up for forever as like, hey, it's a hidden gem that everyone keeps pointing to, that it's a hidden gem, and it might just be the level it's supposed to be.
I don't know.
Like, this is the thing with old TV shows, is that they take hundreds of hours, and I'm like, I don't know if I have hundreds of hours to give.
I have hundreds of hours to give, but I like wasting it on other things. So I'm very particular in where I waste my hundreds of hours. Joffrey, a Monmouth, thank you so much. A $5 dono. I couldn't really get into Firefly. All its sci-fi ideas seem half baked, and now that The Expanse exists, so if I'm revisiting the series, I'm always choosing it. I do think they're two very different flavors of sci. Firefly is by all just pretty much just a Western that happens to take place in space. So I do think they're two very different. I would also rather go back and rewatch The Expanse. I really enjoyed The Expanse. I do actually want to rewatch that. I haven't seen it in a while, but I do think they're very different flavors of sci-fi.
Much harder. The Expanse is a much harder science fiction show that never could have existed. I say that never could have existed in the context of network television, as if Firefly got to exist for more than 9 episodes in the context of network television. But like, The Expanse was never a TV show that was going to be allowed to air on network television in the 90s, early 2000s. And Firefly just about got to exist for a handful of episodes. But yeah, like, it's a pulpy thing. It's not like The Expanse. I consider quite hard science fiction.
Yeah.
This is, as you say, Western with spaceships. It's more like Star Wars. I consider it closer to Star Wars than to Star Trek, as much as that distinction matters.
No, there are almost overt fantasy elements to reasons why I like Firefly.
Yeah. Waiting for Viva Pinata. Thank you so much. A reminder that Buffy had other official in the comics, like with Stranger Things, Scooby-Doo, and a few lesser known comics. I mean, first of all, canon if they're having a crossover with a talking dog.
Marty, I'm sick of you mispronouncing this person's name. It is Waiting for Viva Pinata 2.
Oh, my mistake. Discord servers. If there's anything weird on your end, folks, please refresh. My apologies. I was trying to get us. Jack, I'm worried about you. Every time I shave off a 2, it gets you a little bit closer to picking up your kids. And every time I have to explain why I shaved off a 2, kids are waiting a little bit longer.
further away.
Yeah.
Remember when like there was a period where these nostalgic revivals were confined to tie-in novels or comic books? Like that is the thing that reminds me of, where it's like, remember before Chris Carter brought back the X-Files to Fox, he brought it back in comic books. Remember when like before Firefly was going to be a TV show, it was comics, or Buffy was going to be a TV show, it was comics. And those were quote unquote canon as much as anything is canon. What's canon is what you decide as a reader or a viewer matters to you. In the end, like ultimately, when dust settles, that is what canon is. If those comics are canon to you, they're canon to you. I personally choose to believe the comic book where Batman sold his soul to Hitler is canon, because that's just fun.
It is fun.
He accidentally sells his soul to Hitler because he wants to punch one more criminal. And I'm like, God damn it, Batman, you do what you do.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of miss the days when that sort of nostalgia was confined to ancillary media. Now it feels like it's just all mainstream media all the time, which is very strange, I don't know.
Agreed. Vactor, thank you so much with a $5 dono. Whedon is hopefully the last director in a long line of directors that thought you had to be abusive to get art, a la Hitchcock. Oh, is Whedon hopefully the last? No, I'm sure not.
Whedon is hopefully Whedon will not be the last.
Yeah.
No, there. Well, even like Darren talking about Ryan Gosling, who when Ryan Gosling plays a darker character, feels like he has to carry that darkness home with him. Where other actors are like, man, I'm just saying words that are on a page. And when it's time to clock out, I fucking clock out.
There's that line from Laurence Olivier to Dustin Hoffman, where like Dustin Hoffman is like filming Marathon Man and is sweaty and unshaven and collapsing. And Olivier looks over and goes, have you tried acting, dear boy? Now, to be clear, Hoffman's version of the story is I was going through a divorce at the time, dealing with the fact that I was probably never going to see my kids again, and that is why I was sweaty and disheveled.
Yeah.
Olivia's like, it's like, I'm a British actor, I get to be catty.
But you get the same thing with like Brian Cox and Jeremy Strong on Succession. Like Jeremy Strong, like really getting so into Kendall Roy, and Brian Cox just feeling like, well, this is a fucking job. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important to distinguish between like the people who choose to do that to themselves. Like there's the whole Christian Bale thing of like, it's the only way I know how to do it. It's the only way that I think Jeremy Strong has said the same thing. It's like, it's the only way that I personally can get to where I need to be to do what I think I owe the audience or the camera or the director. Right. And if you choose to do that to yourself, that is okay. Right. Your choice, as long as you're not harming anybody, like, Gosling's choice not to do it to avoid causing his children and wife difficulty is fair, and I understand that, and I respect that. The flip side is when you do that to other people like Jared Leto does. That's when it becomes a problem. It's when you inflict suffering on other people. Like I think a lot of like recently I was reading about the Safdies, obviously the big controversy over like the Safdies and what happened with the Safdies during the production of Good Time, which was a terrible story, should not have happened, absolutely horrific. And I do think about like the story that came from the set of Smashing Machine, where there's a big scene in Smashing Machine which runs 9 minutes long, where The Rock, or as his co-star Emily Blunt calls him, DJ, is doing like a big argument. They're having a big argument that runs 9 minutes long, and Benny Safdie, I have to imagine, coming off what happened with the split, and the split being his decision because he didn't know what was happening on Good Time was happening on Good Time. But he's basically like, I structured that so that we only needed to film it once because it felt unnecessarily cruel to me as a director to have to put the actors through this 9 minute long take of like emotionally draining, abusive stuff over and over again. And I'm like, it does feel like you need to be mindful of the people. It's other people.
Absolutely.
As long as like you're not hurting anybody, do what you want. But when you are affecting other people, just be more careful.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you got Stanley Kubrick making 70-year-old Scatman Crothers get axed to death 45 times in The Shining.
But I do love that the kid apparently didn't even know he was in a horror movie.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Only ruined all the adult actors. Jack Nicholson was already insane, so that's fine.
Shelley Duvall has given many interviews that she had a very good time working on that movie.
Just hated Scatman. Just hated Scatman.
Wait a minute, different
no. Quintuple, thank you so much for the $5 dono. I agree with Jack. I just joined. What am I agreeing with? Damn.
Great.
Damn. We all agree with Jack.
At the beginning, you were agreeing with letting the dead die. That's what we started with is let Buffy die, let Firefly die, let it just exist as it existed. Let's make new things. And I think in general, like we all say that until one of the remakes does something good and interesting, and it's everything's fine. It's gonna be fine.
Everything is fine. It's a good thing you didn't agree with him when he said Tintin should be tried at The Hague.
I do like that you picked the European court. To be clear, he didn't get.
Listen,
like,
I'm not. There's some things. There's some things that are nicely continental.
Mm-hmm.
The Hague.
Like The Hague.
Don't like Wallace and Gromit, but The Hague
like
is
The
a
Hague
European
and Clear
institution
Obscure,
I can get
Expedition 33, the nicest French video game ever made. Jonathan Griffin, thank you so much. I really do like Europe. I don't know. This is like an ongoing bit, and I feel like I need to like nip that. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Fuck Europe. Jonathan Griffin, thank you so much for the $10 dono. This is why I'm mad, because we're an hour and 48 minutes in, and we got our first message. Star Trek chat.
Uh-oh.
I just watched Pale Moonlight for the first time, expecting to enjoy it, but found it overhyped. Expecting to enjoy it, but find it overhyped. But holy crap, maybe the most interesting thing Star Trek's ever done. What is Pale Moonlight in a sentence?
Jack is watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, so I can't. Thank you, Eric, for the timer.
He doesn't need 5 minutes. He doesn't get 5 minutes. He absolutely does not get 5 minutes. That is insane.
Even I think 5 minutes is excessive.
That is insane.
Even I. Thank you. Eric has taken the timer out back and shot it. It will return with a more appropriate 1 minute countdown. Thank you. That's better. We all agree with that. I feel like if we spend 30 seconds of it laughing, though, it doesn't count. But Jack has not seen In the Pale Moonlight, so I do not want to
correct.
spoil what In the Pale Moonlight is. It is one of the most daring, provocative episodes of Star Trek ever made. It is formally ambitious in that it is a story that is told entirely from the perspective of Captain Benjamin Sisko, played by Avery Brooks, one of my favorite performances, one of my favorite characters in the history of Star Trek. But it really pushes the boundaries of what is possible within Star Trek. It is a show, an episode that when I first saw it during the 90s, when I was a teenager who had like watched all of The Next Generation, watched all of Deep Space Nine, was like, can you do this? Is this something that you are allowed to do within the confines of Star Trek? It is really interesting, and rewatching it recently, it is just as incredible, just as stunning. It is properly Shakespearean in the way that old Star Trek tends to be. It is this story of a man searching his conscience, trying to find some peace within himself. It has incredible performances. It's incredibly well written. Very famously, it is credited to writer. So this is where I don't even need the 2 minutes now. I'm just vamping. It is very famously written by Michael Taylor, one of the very good Star Trek writers, one of the sadly underappreciated Star Trek writers who would go on to work on Star Trek Voyager in later seasons. But Ronald D. Moore, who is one of the great television writers of his generation, go on to create the revival of Battlestar Galactica, one of the great writers on Star Trek The Next Generation, does For All Mankind, which is relaunching on Apple TV Plus, I believe this week or next week. He very famously said the one thing that he regrets in his Star Trek career is that he did not get a writing credit on In the Pale Moonlight, because he rewrote a lot of that episode. A lot of that episode came from him, but he didn't take the credit on it, because if you take the credit, it's called credit jumping, and it means you get the residuals, or the writer has to split the residuals with you, so it's bad faith, it's bad form to do it. So they let Michael Taylor keep the credit. That's my one piece of trivia, and I'm done. 5 seconds, mic drop.
Beautiful. I like how you said you were vamping at this point. Like everything up till now has been scripted. This has been a 2-hour scripted pod so far.
The rest of this 30 seconds is going to be meaningless. Only I'm also going to tell you 3 separate, really interesting pieces of facts about this episode.
Yeah, real humbling. Real humbling to the rest of us chuckle fucks out there.
Jack, where are you in Deep Space Nine, actually, just out of curiosity?
I have not moved forward very much. Mostly
Alamarine, count to 4, Alamarine, then 2 more, yeah?
Well, once we get into what we've been watching, I made a bad decision. Well, we'll get into it now. I made a bad decision. I really thought that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 was releasing this morning, so I would get to watch a couple episodes before the podcast. It does not release until this evening for us.
Correct.
So I finally got through all of Season 1 of Daredevil Born Again, which, spoiler alert, was a mistake. It's very bad, and I disliked most of my time there, and especially that ending. Fuck those writers 100% for ending the season, not on a cliffhanger, but with the characters literally looking to camera saying, well, I guess we'll deal with this next season. Fuck all of that season.
Are you going to watch
so old 2? We could slightly spoil it, but it is incredible that the post-credit scene of it is quite literally John Bernthal's Frank Castle being like, I'm gonna go be in a Spider-Man movie now. Like it's like the post-credit scene of like Born Again is just like, bet you thought old Frank Castle was gonna be a part of Born Again Season 2. No, he's not.
It was mediocre to bad to sometimes okay television, and it ended
the 5th
on
episode, which is the bank one. I like the bank one. The rest of the season is not great.
a fun little standalone Daredevil episode, a lovely cameo by
the uncle of the
father.
Yes,
the father of Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan's dad. But no, what an absolute.
And some good Irish representation.
Yeah, great Irish.
Absolute terrible season of television.
Are you going to watch?
I am going to watch. I've made it through all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I can make it through more mediocre television.
And is it going to be released weekly, right? This isn't like a full drop.
So it is 1 episode this week, 2 episodes next week, and then weekly, which is very strange because I've seen the full season and I can't remember what happens in episode 2 that they're like, we need to drop episode 3 with it really quickly.
Why not just do 1, 2, and 3 the first week and then weekly?
It's very. I suspect because they want the Punisher thing in May again to stretch to keep the subscriptions rolling, basically.
Yeah.
This way,
they announced the Punisher kind of one-shot Disney Plus series is coming out in May, and it's called Punisher: One Last Kill. But then Punisher is one of the characters in the Spider-Man movie that's coming out 2 months later. So does that mean he's not going to kill anyone in that movie?
Well, it's a PG-13 rated movie, Marty, to be fair.
Spider-Man will be like, you can't kill people. You got your one last kill.
Did you not see the title of your Disney Plus special, John Bernthal?
That's funny.
So yeah, I made bad TV watching decisions when I actually had time to get more Deep Space Nine in. I watched Daredevil, Born Again, season 1, aka season 4 of Daredevil.
Season 4, but also season 1. Like the weird thing about Born Again is that it is so stupid. It is both a continuation of the Netflix show and a Disney Plus TV show, and the two things cannot reconcile with one another. It has this kind of like uncanny valley zombie-esque quality to it, where like it is a plot point where the first season, so much of that Born Again is about like gentrification, where everyone's all like, oh, isn't it really sad how all these small independent local contractors are getting bought out and turned into giant soulless institutions that have been hollowed out from the inside. We're talking about New York, right? That's what we're talking about here in this TV show that's now launching on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
Only New York. That's the only thing.
Only New York. Yeah.
But like it is so frustrating, and because like you can see them doing things like the long take fight sequences, because they're like, clearly the long take fight sequences, they're things that people love about the Netflix Marvel shows, the Netflix Daredevil show in particular. But it's like Disney cannot like help themselves from being like, and hear us out here. What if the really impressive physical long take single take action sequence had like some CGI in it? And like, so what do you mean some CGI? I mean lots of CGI, like mostly CGI. What if we just like took something that is really impressive that our stunt people are doing and just like slather so much CGI on it that it doesn't matter. You won't believe that it's real anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really feel like you're appreciating the craft that went into it.
I've been seeing a lot online of people doing kind of like shot comparisons from the Netflix show to the Disney show, and how like the blandification of Daredevil has gotten through its cinematography since it's moved to Disney Plus, and like just a lot of the personality is going from the show. It's not terrible, it's not the worst, but then so this is dipping slightly into what I've been watching. To cleanse my palate, I watched Reacher season 2, and I said, if fucking Reacher can do this, you can do this.
Is Reacher season 2 the one where they're like, what if there was a bigger Reacher? You know, until
that's
somebody
season
builds
3.
a bigger Reacher. Okay.
This was
now it's
Reacher.
2 Reachers in a trench coat.
Season 2 where he beats up his neighbor because his neighbor was accosting him
riding a bike. Yeah.
Oh, did you see that? Reacher beat the shit out of his neighbor in real life.
To be fair, did his neighbor step in front of the bicycle? To be
His
fair,
neighbor pushed him off of his motorcycle.
99 out of 100 times I'm siding with Reacher, sight unseen. I'm sure it was fine.
No, directly out of an episode of Reacher, the neighbor pushed him pushed him past the line of good taste, so Reacher had to teach him a lesson. And why are you messing with Alan Richardson or Reacher? Stop it.
I've seen Reacher. This always ends well for the smaller guy picking on Reacher, right?
What could possibly go wrong? Yeah.
But like, you know, Reacher, much like Daredevil, this is like, oh, we have an action beat every episode. We have a little character development every episode. There is a grand mystery that we start the season with, and by the time we get to the end of the season, we have figured it out. Maybe the good guy win, maybe the bad guy win, but we have at least come to a fucking conclusion. If Reacher can do this, Daredevil should be able to do this. And it just made me more mad at Daredevil.
You know what? Sometimes justice is blind.
Fuck
Think
off.
about
I thought that comparison was a bit of a Reacher, if you ask me.
Beautiful. Jonathan Griffin, thank you so much. $5 donor. Also really loved Hail Mary. Loved the book too, though, so a bit biased. The visuals on the Petrova line had me genuinely teary-eyed in IMAX. I want more IMAX screens. Give me every time I see people being like, look at this in 75 millimeter IMAX. I'm like, well, fucking build more than 50 of them on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
What if we do that?
I shouldn't have to fly to another country across an ocean to see it on 70 millimeter IMAX.
Yeah.
No, by the way, beautiful film. Like, absolutely.
Gorgeous.
I know we talked some shit about it. It is a gorgeous looking film when they're above the green gas giant planet.
Yeah.
Like, it is a gorgeous movie. Yeah.
The use of colors like the purples and the greens. Again, like Greg Fraser is surprisingly great. And I'm really glad that instead of like using his craft on some boring, like nonsense standard shooting, like something like Batman 2 or I don't know, like Dune, just normal boring stuff that anybody could shoot, he instead chose to take the risk to shoot something that demanded his vision. 4 Sam Mendes Beatles films.
What if they're good?
No, I know. Like, part of me is like,
I'm going Craven times 4 now. What if they're good?
And here's the question, Marty. When do you give up on that dream? Because they're releasing week after week. So are you like going into Ringo in week 4? You're like, this is the one. This is going to pull it all together.
Sure. It's going to be a weird month. It's going to be a very strange month in my life. The Sandwich, Eric. Thank you so much, Chef Eric. With a $10 dono. Back with another sandwich. Chef Eric's Second Win Games sandwich combo number 12, the Darren, aka the 250. Panko breaded and fried chicken breast, maple pepper bacon, bacon fat aioli, lettuce, tomato, and red onion on a crusty baguette.
I like that it has the chicken, which sounds relatively healthy. It's like, can we put bacon fat on it? It's like, yes, we can.
Yes, you can.
That's how you get a 250. Incredible sandwich. That's Eric has been making sandwiches for each member of Second Win, and all of them sound absolutely delicious. Jack's was called the Big Floppy Donk, famously. Yeah, on account of
had
soft roll.
It had sausage in it.
Eric has had 250 calories
per bite. There you go.
Nice.
Tommy Salty, thank you so much. Been in the Green Gang for 28 months. Appreciate you, Tommy. Double Fingers, €10 dono. More German titles. Alien is Alien, the scary being from another world. Parents is called Help, My Daddy is a Cannibal. And European Vacation is called Help, The Americans Are Coming. Oh my God. That might be the realest title of anything.
Was it like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is titled Two Glorious Scoundrels, which feels a little bit like it's erasing one of the key members.
Yeah.
Of the cast.
Is Eli Wallach getting the short shrift there?
I assume it's Lee Van Cleef, right?
No, he's just not a scoundrel.
He's not enough of a scoundrel, probably. Yeah.
Moana is The Paradise Has a Snag.
Oh.
I love like titles that are plot summaries.
Yeah, I think it's nice. Yeah. Joffrey of Monmouth with a $5 dono. Darren, you've mentioned metamodernism in a few weeks in a row. Are you talking about Vermeulen's concept of oscillation or something different?
I am very roughly. This is one of the things where I need to talk very carefully about this, because this reminds me of like, I had a partner who used to be in theater and had like studied theater professionally, and they would get really angry when people would use words like method acting to describe what, say, Christian Bale does, where they're like, that's not what method acting is at all. You do not understand Stanislav. So I want to be very careful about this. I am using metamodernism in a very colloquial sense, where I have not read the oscillation theory. I've instead read lots of bits and pieces around it. I should probably get around to reading the article, my primary source, at some point. But I am broadly speaking about the idea of metamodernism as it is seen as a response to postmodernism, where you have modernism, which is like, presented as is to you, postmodernism, which uses like concepts like irony and deconstruction to expand and to pick apart things, to draw attention to the artifice of it. And then you have metamodernism, which, as I understand it, again, I'm speaking colloquially, but it tends to have entered the lexicon, particularly with things like the Spider-Verse movies, things like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where the elements of postmodernism that we associate, such as deconstruction and irony and self-awareness, are now employed in service of sincerity. So instead of using those elements as a distancing effect to create a distance between you and the audience in a kind of like Brechtian sense, where you're drawing attention to the artifice, you are instead saying, actually, look, we all understand that this is fake and unreal. And we all understand that this piece of art exists in the context of other pieces of art that you've already seen. But that doesn't mean that it does not have a genuine emotional effect. That's the oscillation, the kind of push and pull between irony and actual emotional engagement, as I understand it. I'm talking very crudely. I may be getting it wrong. Please read the original sources. I will after I've finished here. But as I understand, that's what I understand metamodernism to be, is the idea of taking an approach that we associate with postmodernism, which is this drawing attention to tropes, drawing attention to cliches, making references, drawing attention to artifice. This idea that like you're watching, we talked about Project Hail Mary, but you're watching Project Hail Mary and you're not reacting to it the same way an audience is reacting to 2001, where you're like, this is like nothing I have ever seen before, and I have no frame of reference for it. You as an audience member and you as a filmmaker are both going, we both really like 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? What if we do that? But also, while we're doing it, you do feel genuine care for Rocky. You do feel genuine affection for the relationship at the center of that. Like the the Everything Everywhere All at Once is maybe the best example for me. It's the one that speaks to me most profoundly because it is like we're referencing a whole bunch of stuff. Remember Ratatouille. Remember all these remember Wong Kar-wai. Remember Jackie Chan movies, right? But at the center of it is a story about a mother and a daughter that we still expect you to take entirely seriously. We still expect you, even as we're doing a shot-for-shot reference to a Wong Kar-wai in the mood for love, or is it, I think it's 2025 AD, whatever it is, where you have like K.U. Kwan smoking a cigarette. When he says, in another life, I would have really been happy doing taxes and laundry with you. You are meant to feel that emotionally, even as you understand it is a reference to another thing. That, to me, that is what I understand metamodernism to be. Please consult a physician. This is not medical advice. But that's how I use the term.
Love it.
And not to be confused with Megaminderism, which is view all art through the lens of 2010's hit DreamWorks film Megamind.
Which comes up far too often on the internet, by the way. Far too often.
He's got a big head.
Just 'cause it's in the right zone for that nostalgia in terms of like the age of that's the golden age of nostalgia. I'm surprised we have not seen a Megamind like live action. Like if How to Train Your Dragon 2 makes $1 billion, do we think we'll see a live action Megamind?
Well, they kept trying to make Megamind TV shows and direct to streaming series and movies, which were terrible.
What a voice cast though. Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, J.K. Simmons, Justin Theroux.
And I guarantee you the live action one will have like Brad Pitt in it. I guarantee you the live action version will star. He'll be the Jared Butler of live action Megamind.
Oh yeah. I can't believe I made a Megamind joke and we actually started talking about Megamind. Incredible.
You should mind your own business. Huh?
Dundum. B. Smalley with a pair of donos. Thank you so much. One message. Spoiler. As far as needed sadness goes, I wish that the movie did the book thing where Grace has to think through his feelings of rudimentary healing of Rocky. Unlike The Martian, this needed a TV show. So much of the book is about the time it takes to do all of this, and Grace has to sit and stew. With his I did feel like it was very rapid fire, like it did not linger. Yeah, whether if this was 6 episodes, 6-hour thing, maybe that could have been remedied. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean the bit where Rocky, slight spoiler here, where Rocky almost dies, like genuinely got me. And it's like, but the movie does that beat several times. Like there's a point where you start crying wolf, and it's like, you realize that like you've got a once in a generation character at Rocky here. I love Rocky. I only met Rocky 2 hours ago and already I would kill for him. But you can't keep going, maybe Rocky's dying, and have me expect to continue to have the emotional reaction of no.
We don't even know if Rocky can die.
Right?
It just might be Rocks. Rocks can't die.
Well, I imagine the rest of his crew kind of proves the theory that Rocky can die, to be fair.
That's true. R.I.P. R.I.P. Russian and Chinese Rocky.
Rocks in peace, yeah.
Rocks in peace. A trio of donos from Waiting for Viva Pinata 2. Thank you so much. I'm often called to clown myself, not in a French way. And then enough with Project Hail Mary, time for Project Hail Marty, which I'm a fan of. That's my name in there. And then, did anyone watch the new Spider-Man movie trailer? I bet Darren will have things to say about man, spider, phases, and organic webs. Also, do you think Hulk will remember Peter, but not Bruce Banner? Yes, I do think Hulk will remember Peter, one, actually. Not bring Banner. Yeah. But I do like, there's a bunch of webs. Looks like this has got like a bunch of like cum references, which is fun in a Spider-Man movie.
But it's also a weird thing to do 4 movies into your Spider-Man franchise. Like now we're finally going to do the puberty metaphor of like he's suddenly ejaculating like white stuff in his body.
Like this guy's 30.
He's getting muscly. Like Tom Holland is like 70, right? That's the. It is interesting that they seem to be doing, like, obviously this is doing like Brand New Day is the name of the movie, but it's coming after the comic book thing of like One More Day, which is where Spider-Man sells his marriage to the devil in order to get a continuity reboot so he can go back to his 1960s swinging roots. Don't worry, Eric, you don't have to start the timer, I promise. It is just really interesting to me that they're also doing like The Other, which is famously like another story from that period, which is famously like reviled for continuity reasons, which is what if Peter really became like a spider? No, I mean like really like became like a real
spider.
And it's like he's existed as he is for 70 years. I feel like you've cracked him. You don't really need to go down that road. But it's like no, we're going all in on it.
And I forget if they've done this in movies before, but like the cynic in me says, "Oh, okay, this is going to be a dream sequence, but great trailer fodder." Fuck off. As much as I love Spider-Man, and I genuinely like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, I like this Spider-Man universe. None of that trailer gave me any hope. And then right after watching that awful Daredevil season, seeing John Barenthal in the trailer, going, that actually makes it worse for me. So,
but he's not gonna kill anyone because he already did his last kill. So
and it's a PG-13 movie. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
Don't you have a Disney Plus subscription? It's like, no, I'm more of a Sony guy. Really, we're more of a Netflix company here.
Well, like I think pairing Spider-Man with other heroes, especially the Punisher, is really fun. The Punisher versus Daredevil in season 2 was some of the best of season 2 of Daredevil. One, we've already seen it in a Netflix series with John Barenthal. 2, I'm sure he's just going to be the opening inciting action, and we probably won't see much of him throughout the rest of the movie because that's how trailers work.
Look at all those webs.
Look at all that cum
webs.
But that's exactly like, and like, I don't mind that because that's what Spider-Man is. It's a puberty metaphor. But it's like, we've had 3 of these movies, and you could tell me that Tom Holland is 45 years old, and I would believe you. Like, I don't know if you could go back to that. Well, 2 things just to note very quickly on the Spider-Man trailer. First of which is, I do like that, like, Tom Holland and John Bernthal are like the De Niro and Pacino of their own little universe, where they star in like Pilgrimage, which is an Irish movie they made together. Seemingly had such a good time that they did this together, and they're also going to pop up in The Odyssey together later this year as well.
Yeah.
Like, I really love that it, like, to the credit of the crossover thing, I like that it's just like Bernthal and Holland seem to get on, so they should be in a movie together. And it's like, fine, that works for me. The other thing which I find really interesting, and this is maybe a controversial Darren take, because of course it is very interesting that the nostalgia that this trailer is hitting so hard is very explicitly not Disney nostalgia. It is Marvel nostalgia, but not Disney nostalgia, where the big crossover character is the Hulk, who very famously belongs to Universal. Disney can't make a solo Hulk movie without Universal's buy-in to it. Barenthal is very obviously a character who appears in, like, you mentioned it, the Netflix TV shows. He originates on the Netflix shows, not in the traditional Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then also you have at the end him fighting ninjas who may be tied to Mr. Negative, Mr. Lee, whatever. They may not actually be the Hand, but when you see them pop up at the end, you're like, oh, it's like the ninjas from the Netflix Daredevil TV show. And there are also rumors that there may be some Fox adjacent Marvel properties coming into this movie as well. And it is really interesting to me that, like, it seems the tide has swifted so strongly that, like, the first couple of, like, Spider-Man movies made by Sony with Tom Holland were like, oh yeah, we have the real Disney guys. We've got like Jon Favreau here. We've got like Robert Downey Jr. We've got like Samuel L. Jackson. Benedict Cumberbatch is here. And I do love that, like, this was just like, no, we raided the closet and we got all the non-Disney Marvel stuff. Like, all the Marvel stuff that has nothing to do with Disney. It's all in this movie.
Well, like, this was the big part of No Way Home, which is just like, we're going to take all the Disney people, lock them in a different universe for a little bit while we play with our toys.
our Spider-Man toys. And like, it's directed by Daniel Destin Cretton, who is responsible for Wonder Man, and who I generally quite like, even if I didn't like the ending of Shang-Chi. But, like, so I'm positive, like, I'm cautiously positive about this. Sorry, Eric. Eric started the timer.
No, I think cautiously optimistic is an okay place to be for new Spider-Man.
It is
same month as
speaking of
The
Wonder
Odyssey.
Man. It was nice nice news this morning that Wonder Man's getting a season 2.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
good for them.
Absolutely does not need it, but will be very happy to see it.
Agreed
Absolutely.
and agreed. Fluffy Canuck, thank you so much with a $5 dono for the bingo race. Would you guys do separate bingo cards or what's called lockout bingo, where you share a card and then, quote, lock out an objective? I don't know if we've figured that out yet.
The rough Connect Four. The rough plan is lockout bingo, which is to say, if I claim row 2, column 1, Marty cannot claim it anymore.
Okay, so it's almost like bingo plus like tic-tac-toe almost, where you
so
can, like,
you
block
have to
other people.
strategize a little bit of like, if I'm going for this, I should go for the whole row, or if we lock each other out of any straight line, it's just whoever gets more blocks.
And I looked at. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Darren.
No, I was going to ask, like, so like, but he can cut ahead of you. So if you're starting on row 2,
Yeah,
like, Marty can go and
Yeah, like we could go wherever we want. Like we could try to fuck the other person over.
Marty-
We could both run for the middle one. I could stay away from anything with a horse, which I will most certainly do.
Well, and theoretically, that adds a fun strategy to it.
Yeah.
Of do I go for mine or do I go to block? Yeah. So,
And I've seen some of the ones. Some of the ones are like crazy sweaty and would take a very long time. It's like beat Ganon. Like I don't think we're gonna have beat Ganon on the list. We're gonna do things. We'll probably start at the end of the.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We'll probably start at like Battle Masters. We'll start at the end of the Great Plateau and then have things that can be accomplished in a few hours.
Yeah, we'll maybe tilt the bingo card towards our preferences. Absolutely.
Yeah. So no horses. You heard it.
No, we can use horses. Horses are an integral part of the game. I dislike giving your horse takes.
Nay.
Darren says nay. No, that's the horse noise. Fuck. Murray, thank you so much. $10 Canadian for Jack and the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. A little boy blue and a man. I wasn't sure. Was this
when you're coming home, Daddy? Don't know when. We'll get together then.
We got a Sandra Hüller here.
Like there are, generally speaking, in any media, if there is a father and a child moment that is meaningful, I'm there for it. So I don't know what this is referencing.
I think it honestly might have been when you added or you chastised me for not putting the 2 at the end of the name, and then I said that your kids are going to be waiting for you, and I think it might have come after that, actually. Which is funny because having to re-explain it means it's just going on a little bit longer. Boo Ray with a $2 dono. Yeah. Thank you so much, Boo Ray. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Kylo Ren.
Man, what a great
Eric is suggesting we may have skipped donos. Did we miss donos?
Eric, if you want to throw the dono in the chat that you think I've missed, I can read that.
I know
I'm
what
trying to go through them
missed.
quickly.
I know what dono you missed, but before we get there, what a great Star Wars movie that was. So waiting for Viva Pinata 2 said, last dono today, you have to watch one of these 2026 movies. What will you pick? Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Organic Intelligence, The Chronicles of Young Washington, or The Pout Pout Fish? Fucking what?
I'm assuming we don't get to Google them. Pout Pout Fish.
I'm watching The Chronicles of Young Washington because I think that's going to be a silly movie.
My concern is that the Darren Aronofsky AI movie is my question.
Oh, is that the Darren?
No, I don't know. Like I'm just.
Look at Pout Pout Fish. Looks fine. I made a good choice with Pout Pout Fish.
Okay.
Just like Finding Nemo, but bad.
Chat is Young Washington the AI movie? Because then I change it.
Too bad.
Too late. I already grabbed Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Damn it!
Oh,
damn it!
Betty,
right. Okay.
I
I will watch it, but I won't eat any bunch of crunch.
Oh, the three of us will watch these 3 movies and we'll report. There you go. Quintuple.
There are 2 Young Washington movies for 2026 on IMDb, Jack. According to
it's like Armageddon Deep Impact scenario.
What?
Yeah, Bugs and Ants' life.
Insane.
Ants' life? No, Bugs' life and Ants.
Insane.
I just melded them together. Whatever. Everyone's canceled in those movies. It's fucking Woody Allen and Kevin Spacey. It doesn't matter. Quintuple, thank you so much. A $5 dono. Haven't seen the newest backdrop, but shout out to Jesse Schwab for always including a nice little Simpsons goof in everything he edits.
Incredible turnaround on that, by the way. He was on holiday over the weekend, so managed to turn that around in I think like 2 days. Always stunned by what
Jesse Schwab. Listen, no offense to Omar. Jesse Schwab is one of our best editors.
Omar's our best voice actor, though, as we know, which we will hear soon.
Yes, yeah.
Holy moly!
If anyone's out there looking for a voice impressionist, Omar Hamed,
shockingly good at that one very specific impression, which you will hear soon. Sussy Guru with a €5 dono, thank you so much. So Jack thinks Daredevil should have stayed dead. He should have just been buried under that building. It would have been fine.
I think, I know they had a troubled production, and I know they had to, or it is rumored, allegedly they had to reshoot and rewrite a whole bunch after Trump won.
I think it's reported in Variety as well.
Okay. Like, but it fucking shows.
Oh, it absolutely does. It's like, let's go talk to this actor. It's like, will he be in any rest of the show? It's like, no, we got 2 days. We got to get as much as we can in 2 days.
And it's a show that had the potential to say so many things I know they were hinting, this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but there's a police section that is using the Punisher logo as kind of a boys club of like, hey, we're gonna emulate the Punisher. And I know within the comic books that one that happens in real life is police officers use the Punisher logo, and in the comic books, the Punisher has something to say about that, and it's a very interesting conversation with real life, and it's very interesting, and it's very Punisher. It's very poignant. They are saying something, and this happens in Daredevil Born Again season 1, and the Punisher has nothing to say about it.
Again, the ending of that season is he literally walks out of the show, which is quite like, it is like we're ramping up to something with these like cops who are using your logo and have locked you in a dungeon, right? And he's like, gotta shoot the Tom Holland called, baby.
Maybe I'll be back for season 2, but you got other Netflix people there.
I got a date with a spider. He's in the same city. You don't need to go anywhere. You can just take the train. You'll be there 15 minutes on the subway.
I have to build a Punisher tank. Have you not seen the trailer? The budget on this thing is...
And I can't kill anyone with it because I've already done my one last kill, so it's going to be very tough. And then I'm going to swap these last two because this last one will get us into what we've been watching because it's only one thing I've been doing. DJT, $2 Canadian. Has anyone seen War Machine? Very Netflix. No, Netflix keeps trying to get me to watch War Machine.
Alan Richardson Predator with a Transformer, right?
Oh yeah, you talked about that last week. Did you like it?
I've still not seen it. I've still
someday after we do Killer Tomatoes, Chronicles of Young Washington, and Pop Pop Fish, we'll get to War Machine.
It looks Netflix, yeah.
It does.
It springs to life. It opens up its eager eye, focusing it on the sky. 99 red balloons go by.
Oh, that was Nina.
Yes.
That was Nina. Or Real Big Fish. Did they do that?
No, that was
Goldfinger. Yeah, Goldfinger. Shout out to them. And then finally, Mindule. Thank you so much for the $2 dono. Chainsaw Man ended, and there may be some controversy. The only thing I have to bring to what we've been watching, I read all 232 issues of Chainsaw Man in the past 2 weeks. With the caveat that an issue of a manga is read very quickly because they're most like 12 to 15 pages. So after our chat about Chainsaw Man the other week, I was like, you know what? With Chainsaw Man ending literally 2 hours before we recorded today was the last issue of Chainsaw Man and supposedly just done. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get all caught up. And I did. And let me tell you, part 1, which is what we've seen in the show and the movie, and then will probably be another season and another movie. Spectacular, incredible ending. If that's where the comic ended, like that would be an amazing arc for Denji and just like an amazing story and amazing ended. Part 2, real big, real messy. I do not think it's ever going to get adapted into animation. It is genuinely kind of insane. There's a new main character introduced. However, there's a ton of interesting ideas by the end, and that is a guy, Fujimoto-san is a guy who does not like America. And he makes it very clear that so many problems with violence around the world, with gun violence, with nuclear weapons is all the fault of America, and puts it in the text, not in the subtext, in some really fascinating ways that I really enjoyed. So
would you say he's off the chain, Marty?
He's off the chain. He's gonna put that chain in that shark's mouth.
Was that?
And ride it.
I did see the visual of the America demon.
The gun demon, which is very.
There's the gun devil. Yeah.
Oh no, there's an image of the America devil. Hold on, let's see if I can find it.
No, is this the one with the red, white, and blue? I think that's made up.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, is that a fan one?
Yeah.
Because the gun devil was pretty on the money, like pretty on the nose in terms of like, and then we just cut to 9/11 happening. Like I feel like some. I know artists who use subtext; they're all cowards. Is the general vibe of this?
I'm going to do a brief Chainsaw Man spoiler. This is going to be a 20-second Chainsaw Man spoiler for deep into the second part, which again I do not think will ever turn into an anime, and it's not that big of a spoiler. So the idea with the devils here is if Chainsaw Man consumes a devil, which is a fear, that fear is erased from history. So you could erase, if he consumes the Nazi devil, the memories of Nazis are erased from history.
Whoa.
He has consumed the nuclear devil. So nukes have been erased from history, but America learns to build a nuke again and uses it again. So even though the concept has been erased, it has become re-entered into the fear lexicon.
Yes.
Which I think is very funny.
That's very American.
Subtle is what the point that he's making there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought I liked the very last issue of Chainsaw Man. I actually liked several dozen issues leading up to that. I felt like were gobbledygook.
Oh,
but
sure.
Stuck the landing, but the plane was on fire as it hit the ground, in my opinion, which is fine. So, one of my other things, though, wanted to talk about is I don't have. There's people who've been reading this over the course of like 8 years, and I can imagine it being like kind of feeling very different. I've read this over the course of 2 weeks, so the fact that it kind of falls apart at the end is just kind of like, well, I don't know, not a big deal.
You're not experiencing it in slow motion, yeah. Landing for you is like a day and a half, as opposed to like 3 years or however long.
Yeah, and that's like if people, the difference between watching Lost in real time and watching it, binging it was having to wait like 6 months on a cliffhanger as opposed to just hitting the next episode. So there you go. Yeah,
we got an update about that Captain America, or like the America Devil, which was Fujimoto doing a fan art of Captain America, but a lot of people reading that as the America Devil because it is horrifying.
Okay, yeah. So, Shashak, you got to settle down. You're you're using all caps. You could use the lowercase letters. They're fine. No need to yell. Jack, have you watched anything else?
Nothing terribly important. I did just to kind of reset stuff, and because it's been coming up a lot in my YouTube Shorts feed, I watched yesterday the
Beatles.
Danny Boyle, the movie that says
that's where the Chainsaw Man ate the Beatles.
The Chainsaw Man ate the Sam Mendes movie.
Ate the Beatles, the Beatles demon, in which the Beatles are forgotten about, erased from history, except for one man who still remembers them and happens to be a musician and gains a small amount of fame and then a large amount of fame by just basically remembering their songs and playing their songs. A very strange and not well put together movie. This is the theme for this week, though, is a movie that should have a lot to say about a lot of things, manages to say nothing at all about the arts, about how we consume our media, about how we pay artists. It could say a whole lot, and it does. And instead, it turns into a rom-com in the third act for no reason whatsoever.
This is the one where the Ana de Armas fans sued over false advertising, if I remember correctly, right? That's one of the big legacies of this, is that you cannot sue a studio for cutting an actor from a movie, is the big legal precedent that flows from this.
Wow. Oh, yes, because she was in the movie, but was cut out of it.
Yes, and was in the trailer, and apparently the Ana de Armas fans were totally chill people who were absolutely cool about it and no complaints whatsoever, but attempted to sue the studio for false advertising.
How many lawsuits came after A Thin Red Line?
No,
Adrian
by the way,
Brody taking his own legal counsel.
I think it's a fine movie. It's an interesting movie. I am a person who does not necessarily care for the Beatles. I understand their importance to music history, but I'm just not a big fan. I actually liked the covers of the Beatles songs in this, mostly because they were kind of like half of a Beatles song and then they moved on. But I thought it was really, it was a fine movie, a movie I won't ever remember, but Danny Boyle, there you go.
Boyle, a working director, which is nice. I like that he does these things. I like that he could do horror, he could do science fiction, he could do rom-coms or whatever.
He did Sunshine, which is one of the space movies we mentioned before.
That's right, one of our sad space movies. The other movie I watched is, I don't even know, Eric, of course, will be able to find a picture of this, but this was a lovely, this is not my to be or not to be recommendation. This was a used movie store find starring Law and Order SVU's own Christopher Maloney in a late 90s rom-com called The Soul or Opposites, about a struggling stand-up comedian who falls in love with a girl who believes in yoga. What?
I miss the 90s. I miss the 90s when that was our big ideological existential divide. It's can America come together over yoga? It's will we ever reconcile our differing opinions about yoga? God, I miss those were more innocent times.
That's it. Eric found the cover of them doing ass to ass yoga. It is it is not a good movie. It is not a so bad it's good movie, which that's a lot of my week is ooh, ooh, this is a movie that stars an actor that went on to be famous. It's a little bit buried. This was the writer and director's only movie, and you watch it and understand why. And it's just not that bad. It's not that good. It's very 90s in that it's, most of the jokes are at the expense of the liberal arts woman. And it's bad. It's just bad. It's bad overall.
So this is like a bad Truth About Cats and Dogs?
It's a real bad version of Truth About Cats and Dogs. But we do get to see like an alternate universe in where Christopher Maloney was a romantic leading man. And you know what? He shouldn't be. He's too creepy looking.
I was about to say, I don't want to.
He's got a very specific energy to him, to be fair.
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
You like yoga, you sick fuck.
Look at him. Look how
look at him.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna beat the shit out of me. He's the only person who could fight Alan Richardson on his wall for riding his motorbike too hard.
Look, he seems to have taken yoga on board.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jack?
I probably wrote it down, but I don't remember. So
I mean, you mentioned Daredevil before, and
Daredevil and Reacher season 2, and as much as I wanted to just mention for a quick moment, like Project Hail Mary is very good, but it is what I expect it to be, and that is almost a downfall because I was expecting, I was hoping for more, but it met my expectations. Reacher is a series that just meets my expectations. But why is it better? I don't know. Like, I don't know why
over Reacher.
Maybe sometimes we just want that McDonald's 10-piece chicken nuggets and fries. And every once in a while you go to a restaurant and then are served a 10-piece chicken nugget meal and fries when you were expecting maybe a little bit more.
I think like there is, I think you're right to frame it as an expectation thing. Because the thing is, if like Project Hail Mary had arrived and everyone was like, it's a fine movie, and you went to see it, you'd be like, it's pretty darn good. It's the fact that I think it is being packaged as the second coming, it can cure blindness. It is like, this movie will heal us together as a nation. You're like, hey, good. I don't know if it's that good.
Yeah, I think that's tough with any art. Like people coming late to Sinners or One Battle After Another or games that kind of blow up. That's so you always get that thing of like, well, it's good, but it was kind of overhyped. It's like, it's tough to come to something late that is beloved and you kind of enter it feeling like, well, this should be revelatory for me. This should change me as a person.
The issue is we all saw this opening weekend and we're experiencing things.
Sure. Yeah. Which is a good point.
Yeah. So,
Darren, how about yourself?
Let's run through this very quickly because Jack's kids do need to get home. They Will Kill You, which is the new which is the Zazie Beetz action movie, which is basically Rosemary's Baby meets The Raid, which is a movie that is intermittently fun, but often incredibly clumsy and heavy-handed. It's another example of the recent kind of Eat the Rich cinema, which is very like heavy on vague signifiers. It's trying to do Get Out. It's trying to do Us. It's also trying to do Kill Bill. It is most fun when it is just doing silly kung fu action sequences with very good practical effects in them and some good comedic set pieces. Like Zazie Beetz is very good in the style of like a Looney Tunes character like Bruce Campbell, like Bugs Bunny. She's very good at giving reaction shots and of like taking punches and like selling punches. But the movie itself kind of falls apart whenever it tries to be more earnest or heavy-handed in its exploration of like wealth inequality and kind of class exploitation and kind of contemporary racism. And whenever it stops to do any of those monologues, also features two unforgivable accents. First of all, Patricia Arquette's unforgivable Irish accent and Patterson Joseph's unforgivable Southern accent, which feels like they kind of cancel each other out in terms of racism, which is just like really surreal. It's like you got an American doing
Southern accent. I do declare.
He's British. Yeah, no, it is very Foghorn Leghorn. But imagine if Foghorn Leghorn had to like lecture you on like class exploitation. That's kind of like where the problem is there.
They had Daniel Craig play him.
That's fair. That's very fair. Quite grand. Like, didn't love it, didn't hate it. Bits of it that I liked, but just did not work as a whole. Nirvana, the show, the band, the movie is another movie that arrived kind of as the second coming. I liked it a lot. Didn't love it as much as most people seem to have. Really charming movie, and a movie that is like that comedy that like makes me stroke my chin rather than laugh out loud, that makes me go, huh, instead of ha, if that makes sense, where it is an
Yes.
incredibly clever, thoughtful piece of cinema about the idea of never growing up, being stuck in your past, and the idea that we as a culture, it's largely indistinguishable between like now and 2008. It is an independent movie that is like defined by its kind of like how independent it is, but it is very clever about that, where it is a movie that uses the language of like handheld documentary reality TV, kind of like found footage, low budget indies, but it's also show-offingly doing like Mission Impossible-esque set pieces within that framework in a way that like is very
Alright.
clever. It's like really where you're like, I see what you're doing. You are possibly the most Canadian movie that has ever existed, in that you are presenting yourself very modestly and very humbly, while also demonstrating incredible craft and skill and being very good at what you've chosen to do in a way that you are consciously downplaying, which I like. I find very clever and very amusing. I just wish I found it funnier, if that makes sense. I was very impressed by it. I just wasn't as amused by it as I would have hoped. Mike, Nick, and Alice, which is on Disney Plus this weekend, on Hulu this weekend, directed and written by Ben David Grabinski, starring James Marsden, Isaac Gonzalez, and two versions of Vince Vaughn. A movie that, like, to the point that we made about Hail Mary, almost benefits from the opposite of it. It is a time travel hitman comedy. Which is like Groundhog Day meets like your standard things to do in Denver when you're dead, about a mob boss who travels back in time to prevent the murder of his best friend, basically, on the night that his best friend is killed. It is very charming and incredibly fun. It is a movie that knows its limitations and is very conscious of its limitations. Very clearly shot on a contained budget. Only has like 3 or 4 like individual sets. It uses those sets very well. It has like a core cast of maybe 5 people, but it casts those 5 people incredibly well. We mentioned Marsden. Vaughn is very good, as you might expect in this sort of thing, playing 2 roles as a time-traveling mobster. Isaac Gonzalez is very good, but also it like deploys cameos incredibly well. Keith David plays a mob boss in this. I'm all in. Stephen Root pops up as a possibly cannibalistic serial killer, which is incredible. And like the movie knows what it is and knows what it's doing, and it's just good fun. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to be like the greatest movie you've ever seen, but it is on streaming and arises very little fanfare and is well worth checking out. Had a really good time with it. Daredevil Born Again, did not like. Not a big fan of it, unfortunately. Don't want to get into it too heavily here. Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man on streaming, which is really fascinating because it is the kind of movie that feels like it should have a post-credit scene where like Winston Churchill shows up and asks the Peaky Blinders to fly to Germany to kill Hitler. Like that is like the level at which like The Immortal Man is operating, where like it is a movie about how the Nazis are going to crash the British economy using counterfeit currency, which is a real thing that happened in history, but the only person who can stop it is Thomas Shelby, Cillian Murphy. And it suffers from like one of my big issues with like the Stephen Knight cool stuff. So stuff like we mentioned C several times here. Obviously the Peaky Blinders TV show, but also like the House of Guinness, which is like, these are shows about how incredibly badass all of these characters are, in which they frequently walk in slow motion to cool 1970s music. And all the other characters at all times are looking at each other going, oh my God, can you believe how cool these people are? Which is very satisfying if you like listening to 1970s movies and 1970s music and seeing people who look as handsome as Cillian Murphy walk in slow motion through really well shot scenery, but does not lend itself to like good drama, because at no point during the movie are you like, man, really feels like Cillian Murphy might have a hard time killing all of these Nazis. You're like, no. So like, did not really care for that, unfortunately. Like, I think it's very well made technically. Murphy is doing the best that he can. Barry Keoghan is very good in a small supporting role. Very layered with references and allusions to the TV show. That Netflix thing, which is very strange, where they made a movie to a TV show they don't own, which is very odd, but each his own. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, which is a sequel to a movie that was released 7 years ago.
Oh no.
7
We're so
years.
old. We're so old.
We are, and I rewatched Ready or Not, the first Ready or Not. Still grows. Still an incredible movie. Still very fun. Samara Weaving is absolutely like very good as a final girl. Does a really good performance in that movie. Ready or Not 2 is just more of the same and suffers from that sequel thing where you just pile too much on. There is far too much on the plate. The original Ready or Not works because you have like this core cast and you care about most of the characters. Where even like the characters in the family, like for example, is it Adam Brody is the brother who's the stuck-up brother, Henry Cerny, who's like the stern father, Andy McDowell, who's like the matriarch. You care about those characters and you invest in them in Ready or Not. Problem with Ready or Not 2, which is a sequel, is they heap on. So instead of it being one family, it's 4 separate families. That means instead of 3 characters, you're dealing with 12 characters. Instead of one protagonist, you've now got the protagonist and her sister. That's 2 characters. You've also now got to deal with a whole bunch of lore, because of course you do, because we have to over-explain the mechanics of what's going on here, and it tends to kind of crowd itself out.
We know whose fault this is. We're looking at you, John Wick.
Not a bad shout at all. We'll say there are moments when it does click. Like there are individual moments where you can tell it often feels like a series of bits. It feels like the writers and directors had like a bunch of sequences that they tried to tie together. Some of those sequences work really well. There's like a pepper spray, like Total Eclipse of the Heart sequence, which is very charming. There is like a kill involving a washing machine, which is surprisingly fun. But so much of the movie is like overloaded. It's far too long. It's far too like dull. The cast is too expansive and too spread out, and it doesn't really use the actors that it has as well as it might. Like it wastes David Cronenberg. Sarah Michelle Gellar should be given more to do, etc. Heel, which is a British language, I mean English, a British movie from the director of Anniversary. It is a really interesting example of where independent cinema is at the moment, where to be made, it had to like get financing from like the Polish Film Board, from the Macedonian Film Board. So it has this really interesting thing where it is set in Yorkshire. Its cast is primarily British, but there is one prominent role which stars a Polish actor playing a Macedonian character, and has very clearly been parachuted into the movie so the movie can get that funding, because that character has very little bearing on the actual plot of the film, but gets a surprising amount of film time because you could tell the person with the grat was standing there with a stopwatch. It is a really interesting example of like how movies are made, particularly how independent movies are made. It is interesting. It has like a really big, really interesting idea, which is this story of like a kid being held hostage by a family who are trying to like domesticate kind of this young, like Asbo-esque kind of young delinquent character, basically, and trying to turn him into a person and to educate him and make him like a functional human being. Really good performances from like Stephen Graham playing against type, who gets to do some really good work with a wig. Always love when an actor gets to do wig work in a movie. And also
a very evocative trailer too, like just kind of like the idea of this boy in chains who has very limited run in the house. Very fun trailer. Yeah,
like it's a great high concept of a movie, but it does like you could tell that it's like, but we have to make compromise in how the movie's structured to get the money we need to make the movie. So the movie's like, who is the protagonist of this movie? Is it the boy with the chain around his neck? Or is it this like Macedonian character played by a Polish actor who looks like they were parachuted into the movie, and slight spoiler, maybe doesn't have that big an impact on how the movie plays out? We leave it up to you to decide, because they get about the same amount of screen time, which is very strange. And then I also want to shout out Andrea Riseborough, who's quite good in it, but like does some really good like eye vein acting. We talk about like actors' eyes a lot. Not enough actors have like bloodshot, veiny eyes. Like Andrea Riseborough, her skin is so pale that her skin and the whites of her eyes kind of are the same color, which means that like the red lining of like the pink of like the skin of her eyelid and the veins really pop on her face in a way that is very unsettling, and like really good performance from Riseborough there. And then finally, we will get you out to see your kids, I promise, Jack. I saw Excalibur, which has been remastered in 4K, John Borman's 1982 Arthurian fantasy. It is a movie that still doesn't quite work, an attempt to fashion Arthurian legend into like a single movie with a clear beginning, middle, and end, very obviously influenced by Star Wars, an attempt to impose the hero's journey. It looks absolutely stunning. It has never looked better than it does remastered here. The use of like reflective surfaces is absolutely stunning. Like all the armor is like shiny and it reflects the environment around them, which is very clever because it's a movie that is thematically about the idea that these myths are a reflection of the land that's born of them. So it makes sense that everything in the movie is literally reflecting the land back at itself. Beautiful, beautiful film. One of the most gorgeous films ever made. Makes very little sense if you think about it at all, but really, really gorgeous. Incredible.
That's what the popcorn's for, Darren. You eat the popcorn, you watch the movie. You don't gotta listen to it.
A bunch of crunch, yeah. Thank you, John Hamm. But yeah, so that's it. Sorry, I think we got through that relatively quickly. Apologies.
Yeah. Oh no, and I do see Waiting for Viva Pinata 2. No, to be fair, you expecting us to pay for movies real quick. My to be or not to be segment. We are rebranding that as to be or not to be, because we are opening it up to all sorts of free on Canopy, which is the free streaming service that you get to access with your library card. So all you need is a library card, which you can get for free at your local library. Then go to Canopy to watch movies. Here's to make up for last time in which I showed a movie I rented from my library called Psychomania, which was a very bad movie. Canopy has Rashomon, the Kurosawa absolute classic. If you have not seen Rashomon, go and watch it and understand where most blockbusters got their template from. It's a phenomenal movie. So there you go.
Also, if you want another free movie, if you have woods by your house, go wander around in the woods and you might find a porno. A lot of woods these days.
In a tree. In
a lot
tree.
A lot of woods these days got like an old porno that you can come across.
You're not the first person who said that to me, like, which is a really odd thing to have several people say.
It's huge in America. Woods porno is huge.
Woods porno is a real thing. Yeah.
I don't remember if I ever found a woods porno, but I feel like I did. I've just been pop culture.
I've 100% found a woods porno. Yeah.
I have like a friend who believes that we should import that to Ireland. Who's like, that should be a tradition. Like, because young boys need to discover like proper pornography. Like internet pornography is too extreme and it's too violent, and like you go down the rabbit holes and stuff. And their logic is that like you should have good, wholesome, like Playboy, Playgirl, like skirts the line appropriate pornography that you just find randomly.
I haven't done a good job as an adult scattering woods porn. And that's my problem. That's my fault.
Yeah, I do love the idea.
We've been pulling up the porno ladder behind us.
Yeah. Where are you going, Dad?
I'm going to the woods. I'll be back in a minute with empty hands and open hearts. Let's go.
I also like in Europe, you don't have woods porno because when you go in the woods, you find like ruins and castles and like, history. We don't have history in America.
There was an empire.
we just put our nudity.
It's like we pick up ornate jugs of people fucking. It's like,
Nice.
Ornate jugs. That's actually the name of one of the pornos.
Most of what like Roman sculpture is, by the way, is just like, look at that dick, look at those breasts. It's like,
look at what Eric.
This is a nice little thumbnail.
There you go.
I'm gonna put this. Nick always at the end of the week puts up like 4 thumbnails of videos that we did during the week, and we're gonna put the porn finder.
Put porn finder up there. By the way, do that and give no more explanation because that will drive traffic to.
I do like that it's the 3 of us on the couch as well, staring at the television. It's like, because you don't do it alone. It's
you gotta do it with your friends.
Listen, Eric, love the theatrical experience.
Eric, send that to Marty because I want Marty. If you don't do this, I will be disappointed in you.
The porn finders. And then Sussy Guru, thank you so much. A €5 dono. One last Star Trek thing. Apparently, Starfleet Academy has been canceled and will end after season 2. Darren, does that upset you, or are you perfectly fine?
Well, I mean, this is always going to happen. The problem is that this ends up being misconstrued as a culture war thing of like, oh my god, the show underperformed or whatever. The truth is, like, everything underperforms on streaming, and everything always has underperformed on streaming. None of these things have performed the way they're supposed to be, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the show. I do not care for the show, to be absolutely clear. And there's a 5-hour podcast of me out there talking to the wonderful Greg McKenzie about that, if you wish to inflict that on yourself. But the ending of like Starfleet Academy was inevitable. I think a lot of people, including myself, had called this, not because the show was bad, because there have been plenty of bad Star Trek shows that have run longer than 2 seasons, just because that is where the market is right now, and that is in particular where Paramount is right now, where you have had a change of management at Paramount, and they're going to want to assert ownership of the property, and they're going to want to bring in their own people to run it, which means firing everybody else who worked on it, etc. So I'm not surprised by it. I was kind of expecting it. The reason why it's getting a second season is because, to save budget, they shot the first and second season back to back about 2 years ago. This thing has been in the can since goodness knows when. Like, so it was always going to exist, and always. I do think it's interesting that they waited until the first season was over, at least, to announce the cancellation. But it was always going to end, unfortunately. Like, it's such as life, and I mean, people like it, and good for them. As is my case with most of these things. I wish no harm on people who do enjoy it. It's just not for me. It's just not my thing.
There you go. And then Jonathan Griffin, $2 dono. A little behind is Marty watch Ann Lee yet? No, well, I'll watch it by next week. I keep saying that, so we'll do double feature Super Mario Galaxy and Testament of Ann Lee next week.
2 very similar movies.
Jack, as we take off, what should folks check out? Battle Masters went up yesterday. Go watch it. So excited. The Adventures Night Season 1 and Season 2 Blu-rays are back in stock over at our DFTBA store. So check that out if you want physical media that if YouTube ever blows up one day, you can still watch your favorite D&D show. So go check that out. And I don't think we've announced yet, but we are soon coming
coming up on the season 5 of Adventures Now. We are currently editing and animating, and we're watching episodes. Episodes are done; they're ready to be released, and I'm excited for you all to see them. And I have to leave. I have to leave right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
but Jack, we'll be back for Phoenix members. We'll be back in about an hour and 45 minutes. We'll be back for our Phoenix movie night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack, if you have to leave, you can leave.
I do. Bye.
Okay, bye, Jack. Darren, where can folks find you? What should folks check out?
My Twitter got hijacked. I didn't suddenly become a crypto bro.
Oh yeah, that was exciting.
Was it exciting? Exciting is not the word that I would use for that experience.
It was funny to see several people be like, "Has he become like a crypto bro?" And I'm like, "Probably not."
I love that people who know me are like, it sounds legit. It's like, we don't think it's possible, but it could be. But we don't want to
listen. We all break bad at some point. Yeah.
So I got hacked. I got unhacked. Twitter support not very supportive, unsurprisingly. Shock horror, Darren says, but I am back. So Darren_Mooney at Twitter. If you see any strange stuff happening there, I may be hacked again. I am keeping an eye on it and hoping they don't get back in. I've changed my passwords. I've done everything I can do, but who knows? There's always, like, after this happens, a sense of like insecurity and panic over it. I'm also on Blue Sky at Darren Mooney there as well. Also, the podcast I host, the 250, is back. We're doing weekly episodes. So like last week we did Durandar, the Indian blockbuster with the wonderful Siddhanta Laka, one of the greatest critics working today.
Incredible critic.
Joy to get to talk to him about that movie and to actually like understand Indian cinema from somebody who knows about Indian cinema, which is always great, as opposed to myself and Andrew, who are just like bumbling blind in a cave talking about like that sort of stuff.
Now you know how Jack and I feel on this podcast. Finally.
Siddhant is much more polite than I am. He doesn't diss my GoldenEye playing skills while we're talking about it. And then, so next week we'll be talking about Chainsaw Man. That'll be the episode releasing this weekend. And then the week after that we'll be Home Alone, Sweet Home Alone. And then we're probably going to go on hiatus again for personal reasons. We'll figure that out, but that's where we are at the moment. And then the videos, obviously the wonderful, like, the backdrop videos, 3 released over the past 2 weeks, 2 edited by Jesse, the fantastic, like, obviously the one we mentioned today about Firefly and whether or not we need Firefly to come back. He also did one about like Eat the Rich 2 weeks ago, and I did one about like Scream 7 and self-hating sequels. So like there's a lot of backdrop out there for you if you feel the urge. You can check those out.
Absolutely. And then really quick, Murray, thank you so much with that $5 dono. Porno finder fact. In Pompeii ruins, there are smooth stone rocks found the earliest examples of dildos. There you go.
Do you wonder there was like architectural disagreement over classifying them as dildos? Like, what do you reckon the academic debates were like about that? Where
it's mortar. It's a mortar and pestle. Or
that's it. It's just got a little gap at the top because it's just like for the fine grain, you know.
Incredible. And then as we mentioned, for the Phoenix tier members, we'll be back in about 90 minutes for our monthly movie night. Other than that, we should have normal streams and pods and whatnot the rest of the week. We'll be back tomorrow for Yahtzee Tries and Returnal tomorrow evening. We'll be back for Firelink. Jack and Jess will be streaming on Thursday. All that good stuff. Thank you so much, everyone who tuned in live, everyone who donated those wonderful super chats, helped keep the conversation going, and any member of our Patreon. Thank you so much. Remember that's our main source of revenue, and especially at that $5 tier and above, you get all sorts of goodies, ad-free pods, weekly columns by Darren and myself, as well as monthly exclusive videos. Hell yeah. So for Darren, Jack, and Eric, this was Marty. This was The Rewind, episode number 42. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesdays, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Here, guys.